on the left specifically will come in and say, not only is 40K not satirical, which it is somewhat, but it's also not, that it is a fascist thing and it's not inclusive. We're empowering people by allowing this in gameplay. That is a like predominantly left person argument that like comes in, and if it's not left, it's people that are trying to like get like come in and to ruin the lore. It's predominantly those people. So I definitely take issue when people describe it as fascist. It's authoritarian, maybe theocratic authoritarian, but fascist is not the correct word. And when people use that language, you're showing like a bias against established lore, and that's the problem I have with it.
Yeah, so I want to piggyback off what Admiral is saying just a little bit, right? Which is that like, I think two things happen, right? People that aren't that well aware of it, what they see is they see authoritarian government from the Imperium of Man, and they see that there are elements of like, you know, religious control, and that it is highly xenophobic, but it's xenophobic towards, you know, literal xenos, right? Like aliens, not like other races, but it is xenophobic. I mean, like, and they're
for
proudly
good reason.
Xenophobic,
and for good reason, though.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's no race of people that exists outside of humans that like don't. I mean, like, you have
the Tau fucking blue. Like, you wouldn't like them.
Yeah, and the humans already reached out to all these races. They got fucked by them.
Hold on, pause. The Tau are arguably the least morally problematic group, and even they're
wrong.
Wrong. Will fucking they don't they're short people with no noses. I mean, yeah, they're ugly, but
no, they're overtly evil. They're like the most evil. They're way more evil than the Imperium.
Okay, but the Imperium of Man is fucking overtly evil.
Yeah, but this one is
like so the Imperium is like Nazi Germany with Catholicism, and the Tau are like communist China. Okay, that's what it is.
Okay, but the Tau are basically collectivist communists that do everything for the greater. The Tau are basically collectivist communists that do everything for the greater. The Tau are basically collectivist communists that do everything for the greater. The Tau are basically collectivist communists that do everything for the greater.
They absolutely do. Secondly, they
background noise from you.
Hey, that was me. Sorry about that.
Yeah, they like absolutely could strip. They wipe out other races just as much. Instead, when they like a new race join,
they wipe out people that defy them.
Well, no. Not only that, even willing races that join the Tau, it's lore accurate that they like either create viruses to weed them out, or they'll like basically sterilize them. The Imperium, however, actually has several.
They also might be mind controlling them too.
Sure, that too. There's a lot
that takes away their free will.
So they like pretend to be nice, and then they wipe you out on the download. The Imperium, as evil as it may be, will actually accept some alien races as client states.
Right, we're getting we're getting too far away from the point. The point that I was trying to say is that like you can say they're fascist. They're not. They're fascistic in that they share some similarities. But the problem that triggers so many people that are 40K fans, or I guess 30K fans too. So we'll just say Warhammer. But like the problem that triggers them is that fascism kind of works the same way as like they them pronouns in a video game, right? When you see they them pronouns in a video game, that doesn't actually mean the video game's bad or woke, right? But it's a red flag. And that red flag is that like, oh, the people here felt it was really fucking important to put pronouns in their game. I wonder what other things they thought was fucking important. And I wonder if like they have all this toxic positivity and bullshit. The moment that somebody hears fascism, you know, and these people are fascists, it's exactly, maybe not exactly, but very often the type of people that Admiral Gibbs are talking about that are like, oh, you like Warhammer because you like fascism. And like, you guys make these memes because you're right-wing pieces of shit. And this lore is problematic. And we have to do something about changing the actual lore so that we can like stop breeding fascist ideology within young people that are playing this game. When really it's a fucking dark fantasy game about a doomed universe. Like where everything is fucked.
I hear you. And to be clear, that's not what I was doing.
For sure, that's why I was bridging the gap.
Sure. I hear you. When I'm using that term, it's because like where I've learned the lore. So not learned the lore. Sorry, where I've interacted with like summaries of the lore, they have called it specifically a fascist state from people who seem to know a lot more about it than I do. But I'm not going to argue this. Whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascist.
It is fascist.
Right? It's just people. Okay.
He says otherwise.
Like it is. It absolutely is. Like I don't know what you guys would argue. It's fascism, but it's fine. It's like a gateway to like normalizing fascism, which I think is a good thing.
Oh, here we go.
Well, if you like role-playing fascism.
Oh my lord. This is why. See what I started, Prime?
But the last video that I looked at on Warhammer, right? Actually, it was really interesting because it talked about how specifically like the organizations. I'm not sure exactly who was in charge of Warhammer or like whatever, right? But there has been like specific efforts to keep like real life like neo-Nazis out of it, right? From taking this thing and making it theirs. There've been like proclamations from like the governing body or whoever,
GW.
right? Saying that this is
Games Workshop.
Yours, yeah. Like we specifically reject that typology. Everyone is welcome here, but you have to respect others. Like that seems like a good thing.
Yeah, but why is that, right? Is it because Games Workshop secretly had people working for them that were Nazis? No, it's because Twitter has some fucking Nazi somewhere that makes some fan art, and then people on the left are like, see, and then they blow it up so that they can attack a fandom, and then Games Workshop knows that if they don't say anything, that they're going to be like, oh, so you support it by not saying anything. So of course they put out statements being like, yeah, it's not fucking Nazism. It's not fucking like, this isn't an allegory to fucking modern day politics of fascism. This is a dark universe in which fucking there are so many horrible things that have gone wrong that this is just the state of a dying empire.
We got all that. All of it just saying, hey, it's a good thing that like I'm rejecting the notion that this is some sort of gateway into fascism, or like the people who enjoy it are fascistic or whatever, right?
They might be. I'm sure some of them are.
Yes, but that's the thing. The company seems to be rejecting that and making sure this is a space that everyone can enjoy. And that's a good thing. So hooray for that company, and good luck to my
and so long as they keep fucking females as Sisters of Battle and Imperial Guard and not fucking Custodes or the new fucking Space Marines. Fuck, what are they called?
The
new ones?
Primaris.
Primaris, yeah, the Primaris Marines.
I will say this: GW has done a pretty good job. Like, I feel like this is like you said, they put out some statements, and the community's been pretty good at self-moderating. I'm sure there's some exceptions, right? Yeah. But this is where the difference between Star Wars, I think, and 40K is gone. 40K tried to change some of the lore and make it a little woke, because they do have there's two groups of writers there, and one of the writers group is a little more woke, and they try to change some of the lore, and the community outright rejected it on lore reasons. And there's been some battles between some people, obviously, saying, oh, yeah, it's good. Oh, yeah, y'all are just fascists. Sure. But, GW kind of looked at the whole, and I feel like most people that were arguing were upset, hey, the lore has been important for a while now. Y'all, basically set these things in stone. Now y'all are going back on this, so, we'll just leave. And I think the bottom line got hurt for the first time in, 22 years, they had a bad quarter. And they basically that didn't meet expectations, and so they fucking
was that 10th edition or 9th?
I think it was right before 10th, and they basically were like, nope, we're changing this stuff back. They we can't change this one thing now because we've already made it official, but we're getting rid of these people. We're gonna change stuff to maybe make this more lore friendly, and they've done a much better job as opposed to Star Wars, which is they have two groups working, and one group's respects the lore, and one group is we're gonna make shit woke to be woke and not have any good story writing. Which is a problem because Star Wars has already been inherently leftist. So why do you got to just do something for the sake of doing it as opposed to writing a good story that justifies it?
Okay, well, I don't know anything about Warhammer, and I'll leave that conversation there. In Star Wars, you and I have had disagreements there, so I don't trust your opinion on
not the most accurate opinion.
Hold
on, are you denying that Star Wars has gone extremely woke?
For the sake of being woke.
No, sorry. I didn't mean. I wanted to clean that up. That they were putting out bad storylines because they were a bit more inclusive or whatever.
The High Republic in thread.
I'll give you an example. Before
we don't have to. Sorry, we don't have to. Okay, I didn't mean to start a conversation here, right? We can talk.
This is a free topic.
We'll talk. But
only two people know what you know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's for Ollie. It's for people.
Who's the other two?
All right, yeah, fine. But I mean, I will just say this without giving any examples, without going into it. You're absolutely wrong, and I can bring the receipts whenever you want them.
I got the receipts; they're right here.
So you made the purchase. That means you bought in. That means you bought into the propaganda. If you have the receipts, that means you made the purchase.
No, that means I researched what I was talking about.
I can show you.
Plus, I keep hoping it improves.
I can talk about it.
Yeah, I was a huge Star Wars fan growing up. Like Star Wars is like a big formative part of my life growing up, right? Like it was a big part of like.
It's a good try though.
Like who I was and like what I like that. If there was ever a fandom as a young boy that like I was into, it was Star Wars. I read every fucking book.
Greatest fandom ever.
Fast and the Furious fandom.
Greatest series in the history of storytelling. They started off selling. Wait.
That is both the nerdiest and nerdy thing.
They started off stealing DVDs and ended up saving the fucking world and putting a car in. It's the greatest story ever told.
Well, they just copied Elon Musk, really, because he was the first guy to put a car in space.
Greatest story ever told.
All right. Well, Ali, that is an interesting thing to learn about you. Noted.
I swear to God, that's the nerdiest and least nerdy thing you could possibly be at the same time. Like, it's so nerdy because it's so weird to be in a fandom like that. And at the same time, that's such a dude bro thing to be into, as opposed to like Star Wars.
Chicks
or
love
D&D, you know what I mean?
But
great story.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Well,
they were stealing DVDs, and then they saved the world.
Clearly, Sociologic, you know, he understands one thing, and that's family.
Family is everything.
All right.
You need the Vin Diesel voice to do that.
I don't do voices.
Okay. Well, that was great so far. So yeah, it's a free topic, but I do want something that like more people can.
Yeah, speaking of family, what do you think of the Biden crime family passes out the
No. If we're talking about criminals, I want to talk about Luigi. I want to talk about Luigi and how they're making this guy look like the coolest fucking person on earth. Did you see the perp walk? Did you see the? Are you serious?
Yeah, it was a pretty badass perp walk. Yeah.
You just gave people wallpapers, memes for day up, man.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, see, they didn't do that, right? Like that's the media that does that, right? Like literally,
they call the media. They let the media know.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like every
definitely did that.
Hold on, every high profile criminal is going to have a perp walk where they're in orange.
Yeah, with like 60 and like body armor around them,
and the mayor
close them up. They're like walking with them, like give me a break.
No, hold on. No, listen. Like they did the exact same thing with the Boston Marathon bomber, right?
Yeah.
If you have a high,
that guy was a bomber.
Yeah, totally different scenario.
Are you just gonna keep praise? Are you gonna keep just interrupting me to praise terrorists like a piece of shit that you are?
Nobody praising terrorists.
Praising a terrorist, right? And you said that because
you're over here talking positively about the Boston Marathon bomber and the fucking murderer.
No one's talking.
Nobody said positive.
You're gassing up two terrorists.
No, they're not a fair comparison. One's a single murder guy. One's a bomber, an actual terrorist. Of course, they're gonna have like all the people around him with body armor. Like, no, hold on. This is like a scale thing. One of them's literally a terrorist bomber. Yeah, you're gonna put 50 guys. Well, yeah, one's gonna put 50 guys around him with body armor. One's like 185-pound dude that killed one person. You probably don't need two SWAT teams around him, like carrying him in, posing. Like, come on, bro. Like.
They're both high-profile terrorists.
Oh my God!
The actions that they're capable of doing are already done, and they're already locked up.
Wait, is every murderer a terrorist?
It's not them. It's not that. Hold on. It's not like
no, not every murderer is a terrorist. He's a fucking terrorist because he specifically targeted someone that he didn't have any personal grievances against. That he.
No, I'm saying it was perfect. The reason is different.
You guys are missing it.
Jesus fucking Christ, you guys are gassing up terrorists and won't let me
Nobody's
finish.
gassing up
terrorists.
Lactoid, you want to say something?
Yes, the reason for the security is
I'll eventually get it out. You fucking
the reason for the security is because they have fans.
I disagree though. All right, if this is why I think because one
gonna do.
It's not the fans. It's the
They said specifically.
What are the fans gonna do? Maybe shoot somebody?
Just stop the fans.
I'm afraid of people freeing him, but whatever, right? There's like no.
Daniel Penny has fans.
Threat.
Yeah, they didn't
right?
walk him like that.
Daniel Penny has much more well-armed fans, but they weren't concerned there as well.
Exactly,
right?
they posed this guy up.
But his fans aren't the kind of
burn
lunatics.
down cities.
Why? They're people who wish a motherfucker would. Just right there, boom.
Calm down, right? Like my only pushback against Scott, at least initially, later on.
When I said like 4 words, got it.
Yeah, yeah.
Only
words.
4.
Scott only ever got 4 words out.
I'm gonna start counting.
Clearly, you've never taken.
Corey, bring out the counter.
Yeah,
anyway,
way off.
My initial pushback was simply his framing of the situation of the photograph, right, as a media creation rather than that of the government, right, the state, right. They specifically wanted this image. And that's why Eric Adams wanted to be there, right? This was a high-profile moment. He wanted the publicity, he wanted the attention, he wanted to seem like he's cleaning up crime, even though he's like the biggest criminal in New York City right now. He wanted all that, right? I'm not sure how much say he had specifically in the security decisions there, so I'm not I'll make any comments about that. But he wanted to be there because he knew what kind of photograph this was going to be. So this
you're arguing against point I haven't made.
But you're arguing against points we haven't made the whole time.
So this is the thing that I was saying. So
no, it wasn't.
So I think yes, the state used the media, right, because they know they're going to be there to take pictures, right? But they made these specific decisions around the security for this individual because they thought this was going to send the kind of message that they liked.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah. So as I was saying, right, that every single high-profile terrorist gets a large perp walk because of security reasons. Now, you guys that aren't anarchists may view the media and the United States government as these wholly separate entities. But as Mencius Moldbug called them, and as many libertarians have adopted the framework, they are all part of the cathedral. We see the media institutions and government institutions as one and the same creature, just different arms of the Leviathan. So yes, I absolutely agree that they're quote unquote making him look good, but they're making him look good for a reason. And the reason isn't so that they can be like, we're going to make an example out of this guy so that we stop the terrorist actions against these corporations. They're doing it for the same fucking reason that the media is doing it, because it's hype and because they like what he fucking did.
Yeah, I agree with that part. I think it's both. They definitely set up, because if you look at like Timothy McVeigh's perp walk, which I have photos of now, which is a bigger bomb, like a bigger threat, he has 2 FBI guys around him and then some like sheriffs that are just dressed out like normal clothes.
It's a different world, though, to be fair.
Sure, I mean I don't know the 90s, but
like,
you can look at all sorts
had like
of
2 guys. Like,
yeah,
like what do you?
Yeah, you
like,
can look up all these people
who've done way worse. Right, a much smaller group of people around them.
I agree with you for the reason why they did it, Fabian. But like, I think Prime is right. Like, they had an agenda, and they walked them out here with these people. I guess you and Prime disagree on the agenda, but it's definitely because I think they're trying. These lefties got in power. They wanted him to send a message.
You guys are comparing the scale of the terrorism to the amount of guards that are necessary. But the guards are not there. The guards are not there to stop the prisoner from escaping of his own volition. The guards are there because of potential outside actors. And Luigi has fans on literally all of the fucking political spectrum.
I literally mentioned that previously, but you weren't listening. But okay, Ali.
Well, like, you know, so like all this happened. How did these people that turned him in? There's 3 people who reportedly turned him in. Are they ever going to get their money? Because I heard like some shit that like in the Lactoid, you might be able to speak more to this. That like, before you get given this up, first of all, it's up to a $50,000 and up to a $10,000 reward. It has to go before a board. They have to approve like the amount, and then it gets divvied out, and they might not get it for years. Is that like typically how some shit works?
I got no idea as to the specific mechanism.
Fuck the narc.
Yeah, fucking
Oh, what?
fucking
Fuck
waste
the
of
narc,
time, bro.
You heard me. Fuck the narc.
Fucking
I
yeah.
don't approve of the crime. Or
Yeah,
anything,
you're
but
not gassing up terrorists, but you hate the
That's
idea
not
that someone
gassing
turned
up
to bad.
terrorists.
No, hold on. Those are two different things, right? I'm saying, hey, I don't support the crime. I wouldn't have told this person to assassinate the individual, right? I would not provide them the weapons. Gibbs might have. And I would
Might have, definitely.
I would have sold it.
You're saying fuck
Gibbs
the
isn't
guy
giving
for
anyone
turning in a
anything.
terrorist.
Well, hold on. I don't like hitting dogs. So I don't want to call it in line
You're
either.
obviously showing some level of support for the terrorist.
Hold on, wait, hold on. I'm not support for the terrorist. I'm just saying that, like,
The terrorist.
I'm saying that. Oh no,
He's a terrorist.
Whatever. I think it's
No, she's literally a terrorist that you agree with. You can't just be like, he's not a terrorist. He's definitionally a
Hold
terrorist.
down,
hold on,
You're just
hold on.
injecting all the time. I'm saying, I'm literally, if you like let me finish my words, I'm like, oh yeah.
I'm talking to
He was talking to
sociology.
me. He was talking to me.
I wasn't talking to you, Prime.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't attacking you. I was attacking sociology.
Okay, fair enough. But I was gonna say, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, call him a terrorist. I mean, that's fine.
But yeah, wait, who told you I agree with him?
Yeah.
I can think what he did was wrong, and I just don't think it's terrorism.
Right. Why? Why is it not terrorism?
Because I didn't think he inflicted terror on a group of people. I think, there was like,
you think terrorism
one dude died? Yeah.
Terror. Okay. So
yeah,
the definition of
like
terrorism,
a large
right?
group.
Which definition are you
sum.
using?
The one in.
All right, guys.
I'm not really
I got
using
them
it like
muted
that.
over
I
there.
don't
So,
like
so
Google.
terrorism is like, correct me if I'm wrong. I guess
This is
we're working
really
on different
interesting.
views of what
This is
terrorism
just
is. Maybe it's a
just a bunch of
cultural
stuff
thing here.
thrown
But from what
around.
I understand,
See what
terrorism
sticks, I
is
guess. I don't
committing
know. It's
acts of
crazy.
violence that are designed
Welcome to everyone who
sway
is on
political
the channel right now.
pressure
Good to see
in
you
one
guys
means
in
or
the
another against another group of people,
we'll be
which
heading out
instills
here in a
some level
minute.
of fear.
At some point,
right?
they're gonna.
Well, I mean, if that's what terrorism is,
he didn't have
sure.
a personal vendetta against the UHC
And,
CEO because
we're gonna
that was
see
never his
where
insurance
this,
company or his family's insurance
pre-topic
company.
goes,
That
but,
was just the
it's gonna
one
be a
that
good
he
time.
thought was either particularly bad or
Yeah,
the one that he was
Casper,
able to
in before the
target
loot
more
boxes.
easily.
We'll,
we don't know
we'll
yet,
get to it here in a minute.
but it wasn't like that guy was in charge of his back surgery claim or his family's claims in any regard. Okay, so he went after a specific guy and he wrote a manifesto and he put out political statements. Okay, and it's very clear that that his action was designed to spur a conversation and political change via the use of fear and terrorism. Like, that's what it is. He is definitionally a terrorist. Say that he's not.
Sure.
Like, I mean, maybe you're working off a different definition. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I thought you were like, it's not really terrorism. Like, because I mean, like, what these people did was bad and they deserve.
No. I'm not defending that. I understand why why everyone's apathetic to the fact that he did this, but like, I don't condone he should go to jail. But I also think Daniel Penny should go to jail. So like,
I think. Oh God. So the definition of terrorism. The definition of terrorism, I would agree with.
Both kill people.
I think the actual Wikipedia is like if you target a non-combatant with the expressive purpose of like accomplishing some kind of like political or ideological end, that would be terrorism. I think it's probably true, right? I mean, the Boston Marathon bombers, that's terrorism. You're targeting non-combatants to try to instill fear to get some kind of like political change.
What about school shooters then?
Depends what their motivations are. It depends what their motivations are.
If they're doing it for political change, then yeah,
exactly. Like if a school shooter is like, oh, they've all bullied me, I'm going to get my revenge. Probably not terrorism. But if they're like, I'm going, perhaps if it's like, I don't know, like I'm going to target
church shooter, right?
That
like he's
terrorism.
Clearly a terrorist, right?
Yeah,
like that's
exactly.
a mass shooter that's targeting Muslims, or the guy, the white supremacist that shot
Dylan
up
Roof.
Walmarts near the border, right? Like that guy is clearly engaged in terrorism.
Yeah.
Wait, why that one? Why that one? Why the Walmart one? I don't
because he was shooting random people so that his manifesto about like immigration issues would be seen, or the guy that ISIS claimed that shot up the Pulse nightclub, right? It was because there was a bunch of degenerates, right? Another example of like mass shooters clearly can engage in terrorism, right?
But not every mass shooter is a terrorist.
Exactly.
Well, the guy that shot up, but like the guy that shot up the school in that like got Alex Jones in trouble. Jesus Christ, what was the school called?
The Parkland shooting.
Sandy Hook, right?
Right.
Oh, Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook. My bad.
Sandy Hook. So the Sandy Hook shooter killed his mom first and then went out and killed a bunch of kids, presumably because he hated his fucking mother. Right? Like, that's not terrorism. That's just a fucking psycho.
See, I would call that terrorism because, like, you went to a school, there's like random people, and then like everyone's going. Well, I would say that
motivation.
Now the town
isn't terrorizes the local populace.
It might instill fear and terror, but it's not terrorism just because it instills terror.
Okay,
Yeah,
understood.
Well, I think we're splitting some hairs here.
I mean, I'm agreeing. I'm literally asking.
Well, I think it's important though because he's getting charged with terrorism. My understanding is. So I mean,
I think the reason that they're charging with terrorism is so that the more of these acts that are not necessarily clearly politically biased can be charged as terrorism, which carries a little bit more of a penalty and allows them a little bit more room. The federal government a little bit more room to investigate who they are, where they've been, who their friends are, all of that sort of thing.
Well, it might just be a jury problem too, right?
Like, it could be a jury problem as well.
Like, I mean, if you can use terrorism, then you can try him basically anywhere. If you feel that there's like jury issues in New York from people that would support him, because there's a bunch of fucking lefties in New York that are like, yeah, this guy went after the CEOs, right? But if it's a terrorism charge, now it's federal, right? We can pull it out of the state of New York if we can't find a jury that can convict, and we can put him somewhere where we can actually fucking convict the guy.
You know,
that would be my guess. Because I mean, first degree murder is first degree murder, and it's very clear that it's first degree murder, right?
Yeah.
Like, obviously premeditated. The dude fucking wrote shit on the fucking casings of the gun, right? Like, there's never been a more clear-cut case of first degree, like, premeditated murder.
Yeah.
Made the gun, right? He had Monopoly money in a bag. Like, he went to a McDonald's to get caught 286 miles away so that people could see the 286 code. And he had his Twitter profile had 286 accounts.
So you saw the same YouTube video?
And then, I didn't see a YouTube video, but I saw like a breakdown on Twitter. His Twitter banner had the 286 Pokemon in the Pokedex, right? Like, everything was set up so that when he killed this guy, people would see the insurance code 28/6 would be in his manifesto, would be on his Twitter account.
But that's
So
also a political
is when they
statement, which
deny
would
you
move to
is when they
terrorism.
deny you a claim. 28/6 or 286 is when they deny you a claim based upon you not filling out paperwork in a timely manner. It's like the most bullshit reason to get denied. It's like you're like sick with cancer and someone can't come help you for a week, and then you didn't fill out paperwork quick enough, and they're like, oh, your claim's denied because you didn't fill out the paperwork in the 5-day time window you were supposed to.
Sure. But if we're going to say that if we take into account his manifesto and all of that, he is seeking a change politically or otherwise, and that would fall under terrorism by your definition.
Yeah, we agree.
Yeah, it's terrorism.
Yeah, no, I think sociologic just understood terrorism differently.
Yeah,
And Daniel Penny is a hero. That's the other thing that I would.
No, I think he's like I think he's a dude who killed some dude in the subway. I don't think he's like a hero.
He saved an old lady.
He stood up. He stood up.
I don't think he saved anyone.
He stood up for women and a child.
He didn't do anything.
He's a hero.
Just,
you should be giving him a medal. That's what we should be doing.
Yeah,
he actually might get.
It's okay you think that.
Some white guy who killed a bum. Kind of crazy.
Maybe if we had more respect for him, someone wouldn't have lit a woman on fire on the subway.
Yeah, that's a good point. That literally happened in the same subway. The same subway.
It did.
And so we should have more civilians in the subway strangling homeless people.
By the way, nobody stopped that
Those
guy.
homeless people are threatening people.
No, Fabian
just like we need more Luigis, right? Just like we need more Luigis.
Fabian brings up a good point.
No, we don't need more Luigis.
Hold on, more Luigis.
Less homeless
more
people.
Daniel Pennies.
Less homeless people, more CEOs.
Fabian brings
Come on, man.
But why?
Because I want to answer that. Because look, I will give you a prime example. This is. Hold on. So we just saw this video, the video of the lady burning, right? The argument you made recently, Prime, on a panel was you would hope that if you were in a situation where somebody was doing something to somebody else, that you would step in. Now, you didn't say what manner, but you would hope that you would step in. Right. Okay. Daniel Penny stepped in. Now, y'all think he went too far. So be it. However, he stepped in and tried to save him. Now, fast forward to, what was it, today or yesterday? There's a literal video. This lady got lit on fire by a man, check, man from Guatemala who'd been deported and made his way back in industry. So border problem, no big deal. But we'll come back to that.
Oh no, that's fake news, bro. That's fake news.
Oh yeah, sure. Well, I just saw it a few minutes ago.
That's fake news, bro.
He wasn't illegal immigrant.
Hold on, he wasn't illegal immigrant. But the point is, we literally on the video, you see 3 people and a cop walk by and do nothing to the person that lit him on fire and nothing to the person that was on fire. Because guess what? Everybody's so afraid that if they step in and help somebody now, that they're going to get sued.
Bro, not if you light
Daniel
someone
Penny.
on fire. Not if you light someone on fire.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
No.
It's the exact same thing.
Homeless dude whacking out on the subway and watching someone light someone else on fire are 2 different. A little bit.
That is not the same thing. That's not. Hey, that's not that different.
No, they're obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
There's one for one. I'll be right.
One for one. The guy's got 40 charges, and one of them's for beating up an old woman, and he's out on a felony.
No one knew about the 40 charges.
But hold on.
What we did know is he's getting threatening somebody in their face, throwing punches at him.
He assaulted women 3 times, not once.
Yeah,
3 times.
Yeah, but he didn't assault anyone there. But
he was throwing. Hold on. If I walked up to your grandma, I'm going to honestly answer the problem. If I walked up to your grandma and I saw some random dude and your grandma's sitting there next to you, and I walk up and throw this at her, are you going to step in?
No, honey, I didn't say that.
Because that's what this guy is alleged to have done.
We talked about this. I said yes, I would step in. I think
so. Then you're Daniel Penny.
No, hold on. No, I'm not for Daniel Penny. Again,
would you kill a person, Prime?
Yeah. So that means that stepping in means using lethal force against.
He didn't mean to use lethal force.
I wouldn't do that. Obviously, I wouldn't do that.
How do you know what lethal force is? What if you tackle me and I have a heart condition and I die?
Yeah, this on the neck.
That's not what he was. That's not what he was doing.
That's not what he did.
I know exactly.
That's not what he did.
I saw the whole video.
Yeah, sure, whatever. I saw it too. Thank you, whatever. But the point is that like,
so then you know he wasn't trying to kill him.
Cutting off the windpipe, right? Like cutting off the person's putting his hands there, right? That was irresponsible.
Guys,
hold on. So if I have a pre-existing condition and I die, you would be just as guilty as Daniel Penny then, right?
I didn't say he was like a.
No. I'm saying in our situation, even if you didn't put your hands on my windpipe and I go down, you take me down, and I die because I have a heart condition, heart attack, would you be just as guilty?
If it's not a like a person can die of like unrelated reasons. If I've done nothing to obviously cause you.
Well, you took me down. The impact of me hitting the ground.
One more qualifier. Another qualifier.
You mean like having sickle cell and being on a bunch of drugs?
If we use certain force against human beings.
Yeah, so a tackle.
Bingo.
Like we can reasonably assume that they'll die, right? Like don't bullshit.
So a tackle if I have a heart condition.
All these things,
so a tackle if I have a heart condition.
Admiral.
Like whatever.
Admiral.
So a tackle if I have a heart condition would count, right?
You're going away with the consequences.
Stop trying to do
I'm just asking you a question. Would that categorize?
I already answered the question.
So then the answer is yes.
You keep asking.
I know. You like you don't understand, right?
You're the one who doesn't understand.
Yeah. Okay.
Admiral,
whatever. Sure.
Admiral, you keep asking about the consequences based upon health events. He's already answered that question.
No, he hasn't.
The question that I want to ask Prime.
No, he hasn't. Hold on, Xavier. I haven't got the answer to that. I want
by which it.
Well, this is the
thing.
The
answer.
No, this is where I'm not accepting that, because this is the question I'm asking. If I die because you tackle me and I have a heart attack, and because I have a pre-existing condition, much in the same manner, this other guy had sickle cell, or what's his name, had fentanyl in the system.
Yeah, sickle cell and synthetic marijuana.
But there's all these other examples of people dying when people go down. Which you have all at that standard. The standard is y'all go, oh well, since they have something pre-existing and this person died, they're guilty. So in this case,
answered this question already.
Right?
He answered this question 3 times.
Well, he has answered, Fabian. I'm not fucking asking you, so just wait till he actually answers it. God damn, bro, it's really that simple.
I know you listen.
Well, listen, I'm not spurging. I'm spurging on you because Jesus Christ, shut the fuck up for 30 seconds and let somebody else answer a question on their own. Nobody needs you to hold their hand. You're not fucking. This is a kindergarten. We're grown ass men. God damn, bro. Like, listen, next time I want you to jack off the answers so hard, I'll whip my dick out.
Well,
Jesus Christ.
Apparently, it is kindergarten because you forgot that we have one mouth and 2 ears. And you didn't listen to him answer the question 3 fucking times.
He's still talking, Jesus Christ, bro. Listen, are you getting paid per word you speak? Because that's the only explanation I can come up with. Holy Christ, bro. I'm still waiting for Prime answer.
I'm telling you, he answered 3 times. And you're just saying other random shit. like evolve the conversation.
Prime, can you remind us what the answer is, Prime?
Go ahead, remind us for the fourth time.
It doesn't even matter now at this point. I might as well just fucking go take a shit in my head. Like I don't even care anymore. Like Jesus Christ.
And then if you don't care,
I mean, yeah, because I just like it kills the whole combo every time.
This is the question that I've asked. Prime Guys, you said that you watched the video. Very simple question. Do you believe, based off of the videos, there's multiple videos, but I'm assuming you meant both of them. When you watched the videos and you saw his takedown, and you saw him release the chokehold multiple times, and you saw him communicate to other people to get help and to get people there, and then when you saw him release him into, well, I don't think you actually see in any of the videos the exact second that he's releasing him into custody, but you do see him let go multiple times, right? And you see him struggle. It is your opinion that what he was doing, was he attempting to use force to kill him? Or did he die inadvertently?
No.
Okay, so you recognize that to the best of his knowledge and ability, he did not try to kill him. Correct?
I've said that previously.
Okay. So what you're saying is you're saying simultaneously that the consequences and medical situation are not what matters. Right, so it's not whether or not he had sickle cell or drugs in his system, right? That may have caused him to die. What caused him to die is the use of lethal force, but you see him do the best that he can to use less than lethal force.
It was a foreseeable death, I think.
I'm sorry.
Do you realize
you think it's foreseeable?
Do you realize the needle that you were trying to thread here, right? Which is that an individual attempts to stop someone and attempts to use non-lethal force, but you're retroactively saying it should be foreseeable.
He's a trained individual.
Any type of do you understand how that's crippling? Hold on, let me finish this, right? Do you understand how that would be crippling towards anybody that wants to save somebody, act in self-defense, or act in self-defense of others, where they have to thread this needle about what may be seen as potentially lethal force, even when they are, by your own admission, using less than lethal force, or at least attempting to use less than lethal force.
Maybe attempting to use it. But
okay, if you're attempting to use, you can't intentionally use it. That doesn't work. That logically doesn't follow.
I'm sorry. What?
Well, I think he's taking issue with the fact that I said less than lethal because obviously
no. He said that he was attempting to use less than lethal. So if you're attempting to use less than lethal, you can't infer that the guy meant to use lethal force, and therefore your argument is no.
No. He did use lethal force.
I said less than lethal, and then Prime Kai interrupted to be like, and then
hold on.
Well, hold on. If he was using lethal force, the guy would have passed out or passed away right there. The guy got up and walked away,
and then died because
he didn't walk away.
He did not.
He did. He walked away.
He was given to police alive.
No, he was alive when the cops got there.
Yeah.
Can I Prime? Do you have a problem with the actual initiation of force, or do you think that he just held them too
long?
We would have gotten up.
Explain exactly what you mean.
So, for example, the actual story, storyline, and this is why his prior assaults are important, because you don't have the video of what actually happened. We have to sort of make assumptions based on witness statements and also based on just what we know about Neely, right? We know that in the years preceding this, he has assaulted random attacks, 3 different women, one of whom he punched so hard it broke her nose and a part of her orbital bowl. And so he would just randomly assault women, right? He would get aggressive and then randomly assault people. The witnesses, somewhat coincidentally, testified that he was being very aggressive. They heard him say, quote, "I don't have food, I don't have drink, I'm fed up, I don't mind going to jail and getting life in prison, I'm ready to die. Someone is going to die today." Penny said that Neely repeatedly threatened to kill other passengers. Other witnesses said Neely made half-lunge movements and was within half a foot of people who were called fearing for their lives. A mother with a child testified that Neely charged at passengers and she shielded herself and her child behind a stroller, believing she may die.
I think that. Oh, sorry. We don't have to do the preamble. I remember all of this. So, if you're saying that, and I said this last week, if you're asking, was there a reason to step in, a justifiable reason? Absolutely, yes.
Okay. So the actual initiation of I got to stop this guy. We're all good with that. Now the only question. So you put your hands in him. Understood. The only question is then, like, is it reasonable if you're dealing with somebody who's being very aggressive and who's bigger than you? Is it reasonable to try to take them down from behind? And is it reasonable to hold them as opposed to letting them go so they might get up around and hurt you?
You can hold them differently.
Yeah,
you don't have to choke. No, there you go. You grab him in Nelson or whatever the fucking grab is, where you have half the one arm up and around the neck. There you go. There, he can't move. He's incapacitated.
Yeah, hold on, that can also damage the windpipe. That can also damage the windpipe.
Not only could that also kill him, given the fact that there was like, he had sickle cell and was also high in synthetic marijuana, which has cardiovascular effects. Like it could very well be that was a major contributor here. In fact, there was testimony to that very effect. But I think what Scott was saying earlier, I think is really important when we're talking about like, is the assumption here that was what you did reasonable, or given like hindsight, could you have done something differently? I think that's the question. I agree that like maybe it would have worked out differently if he came up from behind and like did a different wrestling move. Maybe we don't know. Still could have killed him. We don't know.
He's just a random
but when you have
random like miscellaneous,
Marine Navy, what is he?
That doesn't mean
an army guy.
Doesn't mean as much. But that doesn't mean as much as you think it does.
But it means a little bit more than
bear with me.
Egging on, right? It means
what I'm saying is
more than you're playing off.
What I'm saying is like it's very difficult
in these specific codes.
No, I think that. Hold on, we can talk
about
that
strong,
in a second.
The Marines.
I understand. We can talk about that we can talk about that in 1 second. My understanding was from the testimony it was not definitively shown that Daniel Penny had a lot of practice doing this, had knew exactly what to do. It was more of a situation. It was doesn't matter most of the time if you're like in the military, and I haven't been in the military, so I guess this is like secondhand. But it doesn't mean that Wick was in the military. Does he know all the different chokeholds? He told me no, he doesn't. He said he doesn't know any, despite the fact that he was in the military.
Wasn't he in the Air Force?
I don't remember which branch.
Well, why would that matter? You're in the military at all.
Basic hand-to-hand doesn't cover a lot of stuff.
Hold on, why would they train?
You still have to go through boot camp. You're still trained with weapons. You're mostly trained with weapons. Like there's all sorts of reasons. Regardless,
Fabian was.
Again, it doesn't matter, because no matter how trained you are, if you look at somebody in a chokehold and they're bigger than you, and it's incredibly hard to hold somebody down if they don't want to be held down. And if you are going to move positions or change your hold or something, that provides them an opportunity to get up and hurt you or hurt somebody else.
There's all kinds of ways to hold a person. Don't use the chokehold.
I mean, we can armchair quarterback this.
And again, he wasn't.
Should have just shot him in the hand, right? That's the classic.
Yeah, no, sure. Again, you're doing the same thing Gibbs did, right? So now we have to do an escalation, right? So,
no, I was asking a simple, straightforward question.
There was he was holding him down with the assistance of at least 2 other individuals.
One of whom was black.
Which indicates what, Pride?
What is
nothing? Yeah. Which means nothing. I don't know why you even introduced.
Well, it means a lot because it's racially portrayed 100%.
Not that part.
None of us are racially portraying this.
2 other people part.
It has been though. BLM.
But yeah, it's showing your perspective on this, right? Showing your own biases.
No, I'm not talking about that. What does the 2 other people holding him down indicate, Pride?
About
it was help.
His action.
Right, and what does that mean?
The only reason this being talked about
So, Pride, the reason I'm asking about the 3 people helping is not because of the races.
Biases lie on this. Yeah, understood, right? The thing that really.
What is my bias?
BLM went up and gave a speech.
I'm not even talking about that part.
As always with Lactoid, right?
BLM gave a speech.
Anti-white racism.
BLM gave a speech.
I know. Yeah.
They said it was racist.
Yeah.
Well,
did I say it was racist?
The reason I pointed out that he was black was because there is a major race conversation surrounding this. Let's not pretend like there isn't.
Yeah, but we're not having that conversation right now. But we're not having that conversation.
Yeah, it was a throwaway comment. You can just say, yeah, he was black, and then move on.
It was a dig.
Because you don't care.
It was a dig.
It was a clarification that this has nothing to do with race.
We weren't. No one was talking. Who were you clarifying to?
The audience. It's not just you. There's people watching who think this was racist.
Okay. Great. Yeah, but then you were talking to me. You didn't say, "Hey, audience." Sorry, audience. I want to remind you, audience.
Yeah, I didn't specify audience. Do I have to do that from now on?
I say, no. I'm the one who says, "Hey, he had other people assisting him in here, right? And then response to me, you go,
audience, he was black, just so you know. So when BLM was saying it was racist,
guys, let's.
Now I know. Yeah, now you can move the goalposts and pretend like, oh, I was just doing it for the edification of the audience. Bullshit.
Yeah, I was specifying he was black.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and then you. And why'd you do that? And then
because this is a racially charged situation.
Yeah.
Are you denying this?
No, hold on, real quick, right? Like when you don't. I understand that you're not talking about race in this situation, right? You're talking about the facts of the case, and I respect that, and I understand that, Prime, right? But also, I think it's important to recognize, right, that when something is made a racial issue, and it becomes a national conversation about white supremacy. When the largest organization in America that speaks about violence and brutality and systemic racism, from the black perspective, is championing a court trial, we don't get to have this portion where it's like part of the country is willing to die on the hill that this is white supremacy, and then we're weird for talking about race. Like we're somehow a race grifter, or that we're bringing race into the conversation. Like I would totally understand your position if this was like two white guys or two black guys and nobody talked about racial issues, and then we were like, by the way, the guy that got killed was black. You'd be like, why the fuck are you bringing race into this? And that would be a perfectly fair thing to say. But I think it's important to note that obviously race was a big part of, at the very least, even if you claim that it didn't play a role in the trial, which it did, and it specifically did because the prosecutor kept referring to him as that white guy, which is insane.
What we're saying is none of us referred to that, and it's an obfuscation from the conversation that they were having, because it just look, we're at the point where we're at now. We're now talking about the defense of the reason of why we're bringing up race.
Right. You guys are the ones. I just think it's important to recognize that this is obviously an element.
I think what you just said was reasonable.
I have something to say too.
Okay, so I'm going to go to you, Gibbs. I'm going to let our friend Maj in here as well. So I hear you, Scott, and I think the words you just said were reasonable. So I acknowledge that. On the other hand, the conversation that we were talking about was specifically on like why I thought it was problematic, right? And then it felt like Lactoid interjected that for no particular reason.
Which is also what I said. Like, I totally understand you being like, hey, that's not what we're talking about. Why are you bringing that up?
Agreed.
But also, it is an important element of this specific case, obviously.
Fair enough. All right. Okay.
It's a separate tab.
Let's go to Gibbs, and then.
So the reason why I went before, which is bad timing, I guess, on my part, was whenever we brought up the other two people holding it. I don't care about the race part. What that indicates to me, right? I've done MMA. I've wrestled in college. I've when I was doing working in the MMA gym, we trained bouncers all the time, all sorts of shit. This is what it indicates to me, right? It says there's two other people holding this man down. We know he was being aggressive. We know he was on drugs. What this indicates to me, if you go to like a bar or something, and you see one guy and it has three bouncers like trying to push him out, that means A, the bouncer either doesn't think he can do it on his own, B, this guy's being aggressive enough that you need 2 or 3 people to get this guy safely under control and take them out and not cause problems to the public. And so whenever it says, hey, this person's on the ground, it's got 3 people or 3 cops, or for example, like in other situations, what they're saying is for us to do this safely, we need 3 people to hold him. If we have to do one-on-one, one person may be able to do it, but it's a higher risk of injury both to the person and to me. So whenever I'm hearing this story and I'm seeing, oh, it's got one guy that's trained and 2 other guys holding him down, and then they say in the testimonies that every time they released the guy a little bit, he got up and started trying to attack them and was being aggressive.
Oh, wait. Every time they released him a little bit, he got up and attacked them? No, he tried to get up. He tried to get up because people were choking him out. I was trying to get up too. Everyone here would try to get up.
He aggressively tried to attack. Hold on. All right, let's just.
Wasn't he supposed to lay there and just
hold on. If you hold him, if you're holding him on the ground,
supposed to just lay there.
Be calm down.
That's not what happened.
Hold on, Ollie. Hold on.
Choking you, you're not supposed to lay there.
been choked out. I've been
when they release the pressure, he's not being choked.
Hold on. When you take somebody down and you're holding them down and restraining them, you go, hey, just calm down, just stay here. And then you release them and you just keep holding them, you keep pressure, and you let them go and they calm. Now, if they keep acting up and being aggressive, you apply more pressure to maintain them in control. That's absolutely what you do. That's what you're trained to do. If you say otherwise,
a bouncer, right?
I mean, I don't think I trained bouncers.
And I wrestled in
my point is, but hold on. At what level were you a D1 wrestler? Because if not, you have to default to me for the knowledge.
Shut up.
And I know you were.
Yeah, get out of here.
He was D1.
I was D1. I was better than you.
Doesn't matter. I didn't go to college for wrestling.
We're going to go to Majin, and I'm glad you
now
brought up
Brock Lesnar comes in.
Bouncing as well.
So,
but before you do that, hey, Lactoid, can you do me a favor? Could you bring up the video and share with us, right? And we can just watch the video.
Yeah, I've seen it recently.
Yeah,
I mean, I can.
They had him down. There was
send the link
no,
to the video.
I'm not going to play it on screen. I can give you the link.
Send the link.
You can't show it on stream. Just be
I
very
cannot
careful
show it
that
on
nobody
stream.
shows on stream.
Can't show on stream.
And the
Some
one
of us are on
thing,
YouTube.
somebody
and that's a
actively
violation
dying.
of YouTube TOS.
Okay,
and one thing Gibbs should know about anything about this, when it comes to chokeholds and stuff like that, or grabs, like stuff from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's meant for the smaller man. It's meant for the smaller man to overpower the bigger man. That's exactly.
Daniel Penny was smaller. He was smaller.
Daniel Penny was smaller.
Exactly. So usually when you get stuff like wrist control, when you get somebody in an arm bar, you don't need to break their arm. You would see people taking people's arms all the time in mixed martial arts. If you needed to break somebody,
that's a controlled situation, Majin.
You don't need to do.
Hold on. If you're in the street, hold on. Hold on. If you're training, though, hold on. Answer this question.
Yes, I will answer your question.
You just lied, though.
No, because if I got you in an arm bar right now and I had you in it and I just even pulled it a little bit,
sure, in a controlled situation.
Tap out.
What do you do? What are you trained to do when you do BJJ? Hold on. When you do a BJJ,
Will, if you got put in a proper arm bar.
Hold on, Roger. What are you trained to do in MMA and wrestling, especially in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Hold on. In a non-controlled situation, what do you do? What do they tell you to do? They say break the arm.
I could teach anybody in here. I could teach the smallest guy in here to put fucking Gibbs, have Gibbs lay in his back and have them put him in a proper rear naked choke. And I guarantee you,
absolutely,
Gibbs is not getting out of it.
That's
the person
true,
would not have to apply any kind of pressure to pass him out, choke him out, or anything.
Right.
And Gibbs would have a hard as hell time getting off his back.
That's true. All those are true.
If you have somebody by their
but that's not what I'm arguing.
You do not need to apply lethal force at all.
But that's not lethal force, Majin.
We're talking about Daniel Penny, who did apply lethal.
But you just described a controlled situation with BJJ, right? And you didn't do what they tell you. In an uncontrolled situation, what do they coach you to do? They say break the arm, walk away. That's what they say. That is what you're taught. You can't, and I know it, right? Because you literally can't get your belt unless you do that.
Any practical self-defense and stuff like that, they like, especially ones that
break the arm, walk away.
Is hold it until the cops get there, bro.
Not for self-defense.
Let's go to Grid, and then Scott.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate that. So the thing about Penny is there were already two people trying to hold that guy down before Penny got there. So regardless of whether we think that Penny wasn't necessary is irrelevant because obviously he was needed to hold that guy down. Second,
how do you get him in a chokehold then? Wait, real quick. If there were two people holding him down,
because they were wrestling around, dude, things happen. This isn't John Wick on a movie. This is have you ever been in a fight?
No, I'm literally asking if two people had him down.
I don't know. I wasn't there, but things happened in a fight.
I posted the video. What happened was he jumped up behind him and like took him down basically, and then two other people came and helped.
Quick. And they had him the other two people had him by his arms and wrist. There was no need, if you watch that video, to apply that choke. None.
So, well, just to be clear, like when the other person was holding his arms down, like the guy who was holding down the arms said that Daniel Penny wasn't applying pressure down, and that Neely was breathing, which he was, according to watching the video right now.
There is no way for you to. You could make an argument that some malnourished crackhead has superhuman strength and can overpower three men. You are out of your.
Crackheads literally have superhuman strength.
Literally, you're wrong.
Get the fuck out of here. That's the dumbest shit I've heard in my life.
Like, this is the dumbest.
Like a malnourished crackhead is like Super Saiyan.
Bro, I've watched a dude get put down hard and get right back up.
I'm saying held down, fool. I'm not saying getting put. Yeah, you can get knocked in your chin and get back up, bro.
No, I'm talking about it.
3 people on top of you, dog. That's not the Hulk, God. That's not the Hulk, dog.
Well, there weren't 3 people on top of him. There was 2 dudes holding his arms and 1 dude in a chokehold. What are you talking about, dude? It wasn't a pylon.
It just goes explaining the same thing. When you have somebody's fucking neck, they can't, and especially on their back, they're not getting up. Even Gibbs just admitted to that.
Yeah, I mean that's absolutely true what he says there. Like it wouldn't take much, like just like do like a quick blood choke. The issue though is, and this is where the problem
you're not
is,
supposed to use blood
is like if
anymore.
Sure. Well, okay, sure. Like, whatever. My point is that, like, even if you do this like safely, this is what I argued last week, or last time we argued about this, is in certain situations, I would say you immediately choke them out, put them to sleep, and it might be safe for everybody involved because they're not fighting. That's kind of the argument I made. And then these people argue, no, if you do anything like that, that's bad. You could cause them to die. Because,
I would agree with the blood choke more than you going against the esophagus. But the guy obviously knew he didn't have them. You know the difference between this or having somebody low down there and you're going against their esophagus. I think I see.
I mean, I can agree with that, but once again, you would have an issue. You wouldn't have an issue then if he had blood choked him and put him to sleep in like 10 seconds. See, but here I argued that same point last week, and Prime had umbrage with that. He said, "No, you shouldn't choke him out in any situation."
But that's the thing. He didn't have to. At the end of the day, yeah, a blood choke would be a safer route because you only got to squeeze for 10 seconds to put him under, but. You don't have to. If you have a which he had him. He had his legs around his legs, had his hooks around his legs. He had his back. He had him like this, real low. It's on his chest. There is no way that man could have enough leverage to get that man off his back at all.
Yeah, I'm watching it right now. He's moving around, but like he's got him.
He's in that shit.
It's important.
Yeah, but if you let go of him for a second, you could get out of it.
It's my turn. All right. So you have the video. You can see the video. Now, obviously, Majin, you are trained specifically and practiced, maybe not, right, and practiced in resolving these situations, taking people out, with the least amount of force that you deem reasonable and necessary.
De-escalation is the main part of the job.
Right, de-escalation, et cetera, right? Now, when we watch the video, you see him moving, you see him kicking around. There is a point where he stops moving, stops kicking around, and Daniel Penny has him for about 40 seconds. Then he gets off of him, he lets him go, and they try and put him in what appears to be some form of recovery position. Now, I want to point out as well that Daniel Penny is not a bouncer, is not a wrestler. He served in the Marine Corps for 4 years. He definitely got training at MC Maps. But again, these are the very basics of hand-to-hand combat. Marines are not trained in being bouncers. They're not trained in being police officers. They're trained as a last resort to kill people in hand-to-hand if it comes to that. And that training is fairly limited and happened years previously to this.
That makes no difference to when you are sitting there and be like, yo, bro, I got you. Like, you could be flailing all around all damn day, bro. I'll be like, anybody.
Okay,
it's just shit talking at this point. You could be speaking sweet nothings into their ear, but like, yeah, baby, you like that. And they're not going nowhere, bro. You do not have to. It doesn't matter.
To psychologically torture the people that you take out. That wasn't his mindset.
If he's not in a kill or be killed situation, right? He's been in.
He absolutely is.
He hopefully he's seen combat and had bullets whizzing at him. When he had that lock, right, he could easily realized, hey, man, I got you. I don't need to choke you. Unless he's just some animal and he needs to be put down and can't tell the difference when he has the advantage.
He's just a random Marine.
Hold on, let me finish it. Have the advantage in a fight. I think anybody in here can understand when you have the advantage in a particular area of the fight. Where like, all right, I win this. Hey, big dog.
But hold on. But that's different than like say you or me, who's like a big dude with training, like and holding them down. Like if you are arguing on top of somebody, just by me being 300 pounds, just by me being 300 pounds, they're not gonna move. But like if you're like a crackhead, and you're over here like like all the whole time.
He wasn't like that.
Like I don't know if you.
He was just.
What do you mean when like that? First of all, have you ever seen crackheads? I've seen them take tasers and laugh. I've seen them take tasers and laugh. Right. So like you're not gonna tell me some dude who's whacked out is laying there, and you got a smaller guy holding him down. That he
two other guys assisting.
Because they need an assistant, so it's not like he's got full control, like he's some 300-pound dude. It's like
but they're controlling the situation. There's one dude on the floor who's like holding, and two guys there for backup. They have control of the situation.
I think that's a pretty bold claim to make.
Hold on,
He is subdued,
and
that's the biggest thing. It's not on anybody there to be the vigilante and to take this man out, put him to sleep, or enact their own physical justice on this man. This man at that point where
you're saying that no one
let
can
me
do
finish.
That?
You can get it right here. Like you can get it right after the ball's going right to you, big dog. He is subdued, and that's the only thing you are authorized to do as
that's
a
bold claim. That's a bold claim.
So hold on. You're saying you changed midway through when I interrupted you from it's not on anyone to act as a vigilante and stop this to now it's okay.
I just heard your dumb shit you were saying earlier about that vigilante bullshit. I wanted to throw that shit back at you. Don't mind it.
Okay, well, I don't know what that means, but again, you changed your claim.
Sure you don't. That
originally. Yeah, no, I know that. I know to stupid people, logic seems like autism, but it's just logic. Again, so I have an autistic son, right? So I know what autism looks like. But regardless, so again, your original claim was it's not up to anyone to step in, and that you made it seem like they don't have a right to step in. Do you believe that passerby have the right to defend other people?
That's why the DPSST exists for people that do feel that way, right? They could go get their DPSST and then, get into a job where you do provide security for people.
Hold on, pause. So you think that it would be wrong, let's say me, who doesn't have any credentials, if I see someone murdering someone or killing someone or attacking someone, that it would be morally wrong for me to stop that killing?
Is it going to put your life in danger to do so?
Okay, let's assume that for whatever reason I have the drop on this person and I'm not trained, but I have magical shoes that make my approach silent, and I have an invisibility cloak so that he can't see me. Okay, so there's absolutely no danger so long as I get him in a good chokehold.
Your power fantasy. Go ahead and do
just
that.
Answer the fucking question instead of distracting.
I said go ahead and live out your power fantasy. Do it, but I would advise.
No, it's called a thought experiment. I'm not asking for I'm not asking for you an advisement. I'm saying, it wrong?
I'm not trying to fall this delusional.
Don't be a pussy. Don't be a pussy.
Delusional, crazy.
Don't be a pussy. You're being a pussy right now. You're trying to run away from the question.
That shit is
Stop being a pussy.
Nah, man.
Stop being a pussy. Answer the fucking question.
I'll be one.
Stop. All right. Well, so you're an intellectual coward. I don't know why you're here.
All right.
You won't answer questions. You're just here to spur guy.
All right, big dog. The only
I know.
So what I'm getting,
experiments and logic. No, I'm out. The guy's a pussy. He won't answer questions.
Yo.
He can't defend his position.
Calm down, bro. Don't be so mad.
We can move past this. Great.
I'm not mad. I'm just like
I'm just curious. So
you refuse to engage.
No.
Great.
Yes. Yeah. I'm just curious. Majin, is that it? I'm hoping I say that right. So you would literally just watch somebody get bludgeoned about the head and just keep walking by?
If I don't have the power to make any kind of change, I'm calling the cops, bro. My life is more.
And that's all you're going to do?
Anything else? Yes.
Okay.
Yes. If this man is out there with a man is out there blowing people away with a gun, I'm not running towards that shit. I'm going to safety and I'm calling the cops.
Interesting.
But that has nothing to do with
that's actually not what I said. What I specifically said, sir, the answer that I'm looking for is if you see someone getting bludgeoned about the head, sir, would you step in and stop it?
I'm walking away. I got better things to watch. Yeah. He said with a bat or
I actually agree with Majin here. If I was living in a blue area, I would just walk away. But if I was living in a red
I don't
area,
live in a blue area.
Defend the innocent person. I would defend the innocent person.
Yeah.
What about a purple area?
Wait, hold on, but I think you guys are missing what Imagine is saying, right? Because he's saying that if he has no ability to change it, so if it was like 10 people beating some dude with a bat, you probably wouldn't.
No, we're
do
not
anything.
missing it.
No,
we're not missing it. It's a diversion.
Scott, 1 second. I wasn't talking to you. I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to Lactoid.
Now you're adding to the diversion.
No, I'm not. I'm responding to them what they were saying. You're trying to jump into.
He does have the
for some
power.
reason.
He just bragged about his.
I'm explaining that what he said specifically was if he didn't have the power to change it, right? Which implies that it's not just one dude or one dude with a bat. Maybe it's 10 people or something. There's some reason that Majin by himself could not reasonably get in and solve the situation. So rather than get involved, he's going to call the cops.
But you know, it's a weird thing to point out though, because Daniel Penny could stop the situation and he did.
But I don't think Majin. Well, hold on. It depends. It depends.
I asked him directly
whether or
not someone has the right to step in.
It depends because
this is the diversion.
Well, we know the situation.
He's allowed to do that. Doobie, please.
Well, we know the situation.
Yeah, you're adding to him being an intellectual
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I don't know why you're doing it. It's so silly. So what we know of is that he got some homeless dude, some cracked out, malnourished homeless dude got loud on the subway, was yelling at people, probably having some kind of a breakdown, demanding food, saying he didn't care if he died, so he didn't care if he died, etc. Right? Okay. So this is a situation. Did he punch anybody? Did he touch anybody else? Did he hurt anybody else?
No, he's charged at people.
Did he touch any of them? Did he make contact with another person before Daniel Penny made contact with him?
Why does that? Hold on, real quick. Do you think that you have to make contact with somebody before you can defend yourself?
Well, it depends. If all he's doing is being loud, it's another loud, fucking crazy homeless guy in New York City. Yeah, probably.
Yes.
You should probably.
If someone's saying someone's going to die today,
I agree. If you're just being loud, I agree that wouldn't be enough. If what he did, what the witnesses said he was doing, which is charging at people, lunging at people, a woman and her child put the stroller in between her and him because she thought she was going to die based on his actions, when we can predict how he was acting, given the fact that he had assaulted 3 women in the past, like within a span of like 2 years. One of them he broke the. Doesn't matter. Hold on.
It's an is-ought problem, dude.
It doesn't matter if they knew. It doesn't matter if they knew it or not. I'm talking about. We don't have a video camera of how he was acting. We're being asked to predict, to know or guess, I guess, how he was acting. And if we know that all the witnesses are saying he was acting like a psychopath, and historically he acts like a psychopath, it's probably pretty likely that he was acting like a psychopath.
Okay, I think that makes sense, right? But and I'd agree with you that in that case, maybe it makes sense for him to get involved, or for Daniel or some other people to break up the situation, put themselves between him and the other people that he's threatening, and get him to stop, right? But once the situation is over, once the train is stopped, once the potential victims are out of the train, like why would it make sense for him to hold him in a chokehold?
Well, I posted the video. Like once he was confident that he wasn't going to get up and hurt him. Yeah, once he was confident.
You can't just let a violent person.
I posted the video in the group chat.
I sent you the original video,
and I watched the whole thing. And you watched the whole thing, and then I'm pretty sure you agreed with me.
No, but I think I've shifted my thinking on this a bit, because I think I understand more now what Majin is saying. Right, so I don't really have an issue with him getting involved in the first place, and I'm not even sure he should be charged with murder, because I don't think he intended to kill the guy. Right, I don't think that was the intention. I think he fucked up. He held on longer than he should have. I think when it looks like when the guy was twisting against his arm, he choked himself out, and then after that he held him much longer than he should have. After that, when the guy went limp. But it seems like it was just because he didn't realize that the guy was limp now, and he should have let go.
I think we all.
That being said. Right. Given that it wasn't just Daniel Penny, there are 2 other guys there who look reasonably healthy. Right. Could help him defend himself if this malnourished crackhead got up and went crazy. It doesn't really make sense to keep the chokehold that long.
Wait. Are they going to undo the punch this guy could throw?
They could have just grabbed his arms. 2 guys could have grabbed his arms. Daniel Penny's already holding his legs, and just waited until the fucking cops get there. It's not that
he could have gotten up. He could have gotten up.
It's easy to armchair quarterback, but
this
is the problem,
What's he going to do?
No.
He's got a blood disease.
I watch a lot of cop videos. And I'm telling you, holding somebody down, even if they're smaller than you, and this guy was bigger, by the way, than Daniel Penny. Holding somebody down who's even smaller than you is very good. Again, yes, there's videos like 5 cops. There's videos like 5 cops with training trying to hold down one guy, and they can barely do it. There's videos of this you can find right now.
Typically what happens, you're talking like a big dude. This is not a big dude.
He's bigger than the people involved.
No, he's not.
He's bigger than Daniel Penny. Yes, he was.
What? That doesn't look like to be the case. What do you mean he's bigger than Daniel Penny?
Regardless of that,
right? Like
he's tall. I think he's taller. I believe he's taller.
Yeah, he might be taller.
Daniel Penny's a smaller
Daniel Penny's a former Marine. He's not like a fucking weak dude, right? And yeah, there are two other guys that with him who also look like pretty big dudes who could hold this guy down. Like
Three
he's like he's a fucking John Walker Joker or something, right? Like it's not. I don't know. It's ridiculous.
I just think here's the thing. Like based on what I've seen about how difficult it is to hold somebody down, even if they're smaller than you, even if they're weaker than you, like holding somebody down and preventing them from even getting one punch off is incredibly difficult. And given the situation, given the threats that he was making, given how he was assaulting people, actually, like legally, that would be assault, maybe not battery, but assault, right? Given the fact that how he was acting, I think the chokehold was more than reasonable. This was more than reasonable.
Maybe at the start, not for that long. At the start, I would agree with you, right? To get the situation under control, maybe. But after minutes of him on the floor and barely struggling, and with two other guys, there's no reason to hold the chokehold.
He was fighting into the last 40 seconds.
Hold on, that's not true. He was still for almost a minute before they let him go.
No, it's about
almost a minute would be 40 seconds.
Yeah, well, you just said 40 seconds. So yeah, he wasn't fighting for the last 40 seconds.
No. I said until the last 40 seconds.
Okay,
is fighting like resisting, like moving around?
Even that fighting is not like he's fucking like throwing kicks and shit. Like he's twisting around to try to get away. But again, there's three people there holding him down.
Yes, and one of the people holding him down, said when asked by a different witness during that last 40 seconds, like he's not putting pressure on him. He wasn't actually choking him when he was just simply like holding him while the dude was laying there.
Yeah, it's the panic, the adrenaline, the lack of like the fact that your breathing is so short. There's a lot of things going on, which is why he's trying to get away. And then it's not like he would have just died on any random day just walking off the subway.
How do you know
that what he did killed him?
Well,
manslaughter. There you go, man.
Here's a perfectly plausible scenario.
Let's get away. All right, from digging into each specific of the case, right? And let's just look at this from a moral perspective. And I think this is really more important than how long was the chokehold? How long was this? I think the main takeaway here is, as a society and as a group of people trying to figure out what rules we ought live by and ought not live by, right? We have to understand that people, or at least from the conservative perspective, people need to have a right to defend themselves, and people need to have a right to step in to defend others. And when we get to a point, right, I understand that certain cases merit going too far, right? But we have to be very careful as a society when the message that we send is that people need to have very specific knowledge and training in their actions. And they need to work within a very limited window of what is considered reasonable and not reasonable, based upon situations where they're afraid, where where like things pop off, where adrenaline is going. And because if you start whittling down the window of what is and isn't reasonable when someone else is the aggressor and is threatening harm and going after other people, then what you will cause a crippling anxiety of many people, where they refuse to step in and save people because they're afraid that if they don't get it right, they're going to go to jail. And we don't want a legal system that makes people afraid to step in.
This thing you're talking about is like a long-term, like known thing that, like, the bystander effect. That isn't something that was caused because Daniel Penny went to jail.
That's not what the bystander effect is.
It's something similar to what you're touching on, right? This idea that there's someone being harmed that needs help and nobody's stepping in to help them because they're afraid that something that'll happen to them or they'll get punished or whatever the fuck.
Well, no, the bystander effect is the more. No, the bystander effect is, and that's fine. I get what you're saying, but just to be clear, the bystander effect is the more people that are around a situation, the less likely someone is.
Because everybody assumes that somebody else will do it.
Right. That's different than them being individually afraid of the legal consequences in their ability to step in. Right. That's a different thing.
Yeah, that's fair. But I think that this even like what's the word I'm looking for? This phenomenon, right? And I'd be curious to see if there's any like research on this specifically, because I don't think I've ever seen any of people who see muggings, right? People who Fuck, there was that video recently that like just today or the other day of that woman. Hold on, that woman, that woman being set on fire. Hold on, that woman being set on fire in the subway, right? And there's people just fucking recording it, right? Not even trying to help her. It's crazy.
The cop didn't do anything.
Yeah, the cop didn't do shit. The guy recording didn't do shit. Apparently, the guy sitting there watching was the guy that set it on fire. But there's like a lot of people that
he was fanning the flames, dude.
None of them were even trying
fanning the flames while the cop
right?
watched.
And none of them were even. So that's. I don't think that happens because Daniel Penny got arrested or whatever, right? I think that's exactly deeper. That's a deeper thing, right? And that's something that's documented in many other cases for years, right? Like that's not a new thing.
No, I'm not saying that. Like,
I mean, it doesn't help to do anything that doesn't help.
Never assume with social problems that we're dealing with a univariate problem, right? It is going to be a factor. Obviously, it's not the only reason that people don't step in. There's a ton of reasons that people do or don't step in. But if you're living in a place where you are constantly, or at least, in the most high-profile example, being reminded that there is like this thin thread of like what is considered reasonable or unreasonable and like what you can get in trouble for, right? It's going to be a factor in whether or not you step in.
So we want people to think of,
hey, people terrified to defend themselves?
Is the action I'm about to take right now, is it reasonable? Is it going to get me in trouble? Is it going too far? If I hit this person in the head with a fucking bat because they're screaming or whatever the fuck, is that too far? Should I think about this? You want people to do that. You don't want people going around and trying to be vigilantes anytime some crazy homeless person screams some shit.
If a homeless person screams threats and states that they're not afraid to go to jail and commits assault and is charging on people
and says someone's going to die today,
people to step in. Why would you not? Why would you want to live in a society where people just tolerate threats and assault and potential violence?
Because I want a society that actually gets to the root of that issue, which is the mental health issue. Right?
Yeah. So
man didn't assault nobody.
Univariate analysis. I'm not saying we can't solve those problems.
Do and restrain.
So like I had a small road rage incident where we got caught up at a red light and dude got out of his car and started like pushing at my car and like yelling and what the fuck, blah blah blah, a whole bunch of shit, right?
Yeah, that's what would say you should shoot the guy.
It's like it's like I should just shoot him. But like what happened was I looked at him, I was like, hey man, I don't know if it's that serious. Right? Obviously, sometimes it might not happen. Sometimes you might get caught. But like most times, people aren't just going to randomly kill you in the streets. Like it's pretty safe to assume that on average, I'm not going to get shot today. So like your defense
you're
is
in your car.
Like this.
Yeah, you're in your car, right?
Yeah.
So he's slapping on your hood.
He's
so do you think? Right?
Yeah, he's aggressive.
Do you think that
he's aggressing?
He's aggressive. He's an aggressor.
Yeah,
right? But there's a difference between being in your
could have had anything on him.
and
Yeah, he
being
could
on
have
a
killed
subway.
me.
Okay, great. So then those BLM protests, right, where those conservatives or whatever, right, people who disagreed with the movement came through and like drove through the crowd, right, like hitting individuals. We can understand it was wrong. Like they were inside a car, and they claimed
a crowd is different than an individual.
They claimed they were afraid.
Right, a crowd is different than an individual.
They were safely within their car. And they could have, for instance, like not gone into the intersection in the first place, right? They couldn't have done. They didn't have to do any of that. They could have kept away from the situation. They specifically put themselves in that situation, and then decided, now I'm
afraid.
terrified. I'm going to have to drive through that situation. We can understand that those individuals should be in jail, right?
Well, I just said a crowd is obviously very different than an individual. An individual slapping on your trunk is not the same thing as your car being
but I don't know if this guy has a gun on him. I don't know if this guy is gonna like.
So a person specifically driving into the protest, and then
you can say that they put themselves in that situation. That's stupid, and I agree with you. It's stupid to put yourself in that situation. But once you are already in that situation, there is a difference between you having one person in front of you slapping on your hood and you being able to throw the car in reverse and go away versus your car being surrounded, right? And so now your vehicle, which is presumably protective in some degree, is no longer as protective because you can't drive unless you drive through people, right? That's the only escape route then is to drive through people. You can't just throw your car in reverse real quick and go away like Ali could. Ali could just throw his car in reverse. Maybe there's cars behind him.
Yeah.
But again, one person is not the same thing as a crowd.
Assuming that there's actually
but assuming I had a gun and and I thought he had a gun, right? That's kind of like what I'm running off of.
If that crowd takes out a baseball bat and is trying to break your mirror or sorry, your window or whatever, right? Okay, sure, that's something. Fair enough.
Right. I mean, we're discussing. We've moved the conversation from what it is that someone does when they act and whether or not they're afraid of acting because of the action itself versus whether or not someone ought act in that moment.
Yeah,
right?
I was thinking,
I
to be
agree with
fair,
you that there are going to be there's going to be different circumstances where it's not reasonable or unreasonable to act. And that is, I agree, something reasonable that we as a society, we don't want people at the slightest provocation using a bunch of violence. But if someone is in a situation where they're genuinely threatening someone's life or they're genuinely attacking someone, right? We don't want to be crippled by the actions that we do being too harsh in that situation.
Which
need to
is
use
me.
as much violence as necessary.
Somebody does
I would be the average person that would have been in a situation, right? Now, all I was thinking afterwards is, had I had a gun on me, I honestly don't know how I would react, because dude stops, gets out of the car, and starts shaking. Honestly, I think someone would. He was a lot bigger than me, so I don't know. But I think a lot of people would then react and just blast, because you don't know if the other person has a gun. You don't know if they're gonna what they're gonna do. You don't know how if they're gonna react to stopping. So their initial fear, right? Well, they don't check in. Which is to Doobie's point. You want people to check in and be like, hey, can I de-escalate before I just blam this person off because I'm afraid?
No. You should be able to shoot that guy if you had a gun on you.
So because you're afraid.
Gets out of his fucking car.
So anytime a homeless person scares me, I can just kill him.
No, it's not about the state of fear. It's about if someone is attacking you, right? And you are allowed to use violence to stop them. And if that results in their death, too bad, so sad. You're the guy attacking someone
Luigi
else.
thought the universal healthcare people was attacking citizens, and he protected citizens. He protected its members.
You think it's okay?
That's not what's happening.
He protected normal people from being attacked and having corporate violence and civilized violence used against them.
There's a distinct difference between an individual that is currently engaged in a violent activity that is using violence against someone else versus someone who you believe in your estimation is using quote unquote corporate violence, right?
Corporate or civilized violence, whatever one you want to use.
Right. If you believe that he's engaged in fraud or that he's engaged in other things, guess what? There are already both civil and there's legal investigations and civil litigation against him before he was killed.
So let's go to Ali. We'll also go to Lactate.
You just can't defend yourself against the corporate thing that's used against you, because I can't sue the healthcare company because I'm going to lose. I don't have money.
So
not only will you lose, but worse, you're going to find the guy will get he might even get a bonus, right? Or worst case scenario, he gets fired with a golden parachute and he's still a millionaire. Everything's contributed to the deaths of thousands of people.
I have said before, and I will say again, much to the chagrin of many people in my own audience, right? That if he indeed committed fraud and if he indeed utilized AI programs to engage in denying claims based off of information and data that they had available, that those people would be less likely to fight back. That if those allegations are true, that what Luigi did is 100% justified. However, I don't think it is a moral decision because it's not going to lead to any good outcomes in that regard, right? And because I don't think it's in his own rational
I was going to say it should be
self-interest to do
promoted,
so.
but or given a bonus.
I mean, it's brought a lot of attention to the issue, so it might actually.
Yeah, and so it's going to bring a bunch of fucking socialists that want to do dumber shit. The only thing that's changed thus far is that Blue Cross Blue Shield has stopping anesthesiologists from scamming people. Like literally the only thing that has occurred so far has been a change that makes healthcare more expensive. That's it. Literally only a negative outcome has occurred.
So Majin and we ought to go Lactate.
So you're saying, Scott, that you would be okay. This is a situation that actually had happened, where this kid walks up to this old lady's house, right? He's lost in the neighborhood, needs to get directions. She doesn't even answer the door, shoots the kid, and kills him right out in front of the front door. You said that's okay because she's afraid, huh?
I never said anything about fear. I
But
specifically
just
rebuked
with
the
whole
claim of fear.
situation. She shouldn't have
No,
maybe thought
that's how
for
you
a
interpret
second
it.
to answer the door. And,
No,
maybe
I literally,
see what's going on.
I literally said fear is not what is the issue here. What is the issue is someone an aggressor, a person that is lost, that is using common. Hold on, I'm going to finish answering this question.
I have a question after that,
that is using a common egress, right? So there are egress rights on property. When you have a sidewalk and a driveway and a front door in a neighborhood, that's an egress, okay?
Yeah.
And then knocks on the door, that is not an aggressive act in any way, shape, or form.
All right.
Right,
Therefore, shooting is
related to
unjustified.
that, I'm curious, because I haven't kept up on the news on this, but I think Nick Fuentes got charged recently for pepper spraying and pushing that woman, right, who was like outside of his house. Like, do you think that was justified and he should have been charged for that?
I think I'm lacking information, and what I'm lacking specifically is right. Like all I know, maybe more information has come out. I don't know, but all I know is what occurred when she put her phone on, which was when he opened the door and maced her and took her property. Now, that was a good way of handling an aggressor if she was an aggressor, and I understand why he might be afraid. But if all she did was knock on his door, then he should be charged. If she instead was like looking through his windows and showing a camera or was making some type of threat or something, then what he did was perfectly justified. But if all she did is go up to his door and knock on his door, I don't care that he was doxxed. I don't care that he was afraid. What I care about is that she used the common egress and knocked on his door, and then he maced her and kicked her down the steps. If, however, she instigated some form of aggression, then what he did was perfectly reasonable.
So, like, wait, but like coming in the following like days and weeks, we've seen like a video of a guy walking up to his door with a handgun and what looked like a fucking bow and whatever, and was like knocking on his door.
Yeah,
so like
that's aggression.
Yeah. So like the person who has their like shit doxxed and he has a bunch of people threatening him on the internet, has random people walking up to his door. It feels aggressive. I don't want to defend Nick Fuentes, but like that does feel aggressive.
I think he might have reason to think any random ass person walks up to his door wants to do him some kind of harm.
Yeah,
well, didn't somebody just die at Nick Fuentes' house like the other day?
Is he gonna kill a fucking Jehovah's Witness? You know what I mean? Like,
well, he didn't kill anyone. He pepper sprayed them and pushed them away, which I think was fair.
But like, is he gonna pepper spray and kick a fucking Jehovah's Witness down the steps? No, like that's not aggression.
It depends
like,
if they.
What is aggression?
Well, I think there's a difference between. I think
that we're missing something on this.
Pulls a firearm out of his pocket.
She was recording his house before walking up to it. Like it's not like a random person just he didn't pepper spray the mailman.
No, that's what I'm saying. That guy is aggressive. The second guy is clearly aggressive. We have evidence that he was engaging aggression. The first person, we don't have any footage or anything to know what preceded the incident.
But assumed aggression.
Scott, we also don't know that
assume aggression. Because someone is.
Hold on, Scott, calm down. We also don't know if there was limited access to his neighborhood by like a gate or if it was a gated community. And so honestly, if somebody walks up to when I lived in a gated community, if somebody walked up to my door, I was very suspicious because how the hell did you even get in here? Right? Like you have to be buzzed in to start with. So at that point, I consider everyone a trespasser. Right? Like,
I don't think that applies to the Nick Fuentes situation.
2988
well, it's
had
similar.
more restraint with somebody approaching somebody that's actually violently saying they would go to their house and beat his ass has more restraint than fucking Nick Fuentes in 2024. That is crazy.
Oh, I mean, Nick Fuentes is a pussy. I'm not really like trying to defend. I'm just saying, like,
he is too.
Yeah,
Loki is a fat pussy.
All right, let's let in.
Yeah, I wanted to. I guess
that's crazy, right?
I didn't know what happened with Boogie's song.
Hello.
In order to defend yourself, I think
I did not
only do you have to be like subjectively be in fear for your life, but you have to
must have been from way earlier.
Quote unquote objectively in fear for your life.
Right.
And what objectively here means, the legal standard, and I think it's just what we have to kind of roll with, is would a reasonable person in your shoes who's in that situation also fear for their lives, right? Would the jury, when they're looking at this, if they were in the situation, would they fear for their lives? Would the normal person, right? That's the idea, the normal, reasonable person fear for their lives. And the problem, I think, and my discomfort with the case, like, you know, Kyle Rittenhouse and with Daniel Penny, et cetera, is that to me, like, it's so obvious that this is like both subjective and objective. Like, this person is both subjectively and objectively in fear, and their actions are so obvious to me, justified. But I'm talking to people who think differently, and it makes me a little bit uncomfortable. It would be like if somebody pulled a gun on me and then I shot them, and then I'm like, look, I had to shoot him. They pulled a gun on me, and then like a jury said, yeah, but you could have shot him in the hand though. But you're right. It's possible I could have shot them in the hand. And if a jury believes that a reasonable person should have shot them in the hand, now I'm going to prison. And I don't want to live. And I don't. Wait,
Doobie, real quick.
Hold on. And I don't want to live around. I don't want to live around people who I'm concerned might vote for my guilt based on something that I find to be wholly unreasonable.
So then, what about the Majin? This is our debate. The YouTube prankster shooter, the guy that got shot in the stomach because he was aggressing. Listen, in my opinion, that shit was mad justified. He was aggressing. The guy was being aggressed on. Got told to stop a few times. Right, so like,
I don't think it was justified.
Remember, you.
Wait, why was it? Wait, why wasn't that justified?
Yeah, why is that one not justified? I think it was definitely.
Yeah, explain that. Just run that to me real quick.
Yeah, because when I was, at least based on what I saw, there was no like overt act of aggression, and when he pulled the gun, instead of like brandishing it first, he just like
brandishing it first.
Yeah, fuck that. Fuck that.
Yeah.
I have two dudes walking up to me. One dude's 6'3", 6'4". Okay, no.
Yeah, now you're flip flopping. First of all,
yes,
just like
you
notice Marge actually agreed on the physical.
Remember,
so
you don't brandish the gun. If you pull a gun, you use it. You pull it out, you bang bang, you put it away.
No,
that's what you do with it. What, bro? All right. Listen, that is guns.
Let me ask you this. So you're telling me that, like, let's say I'm just walking in the mall and like somebody's like following me around, like being like really obnoxious, and like they made no movement or action that it would appear they made no movement or action that would appear to be violent at this stage.
Hovering over me and following you with the phone in my face is
with the phone. No, not in your face, not in your face. They have like a couple feet away from you and they're following you around like with their phone and they're being weird. Here are options that I'm going to do and I think are reasonable to do. Again, I think are reasonable to do before I just like quickly yank it out and shoot him.
He did
right?
that.
I'm going to like go to the fucking mall cop or something, and I'm going to say or call the cops or whatever. Or and if they start acting aggressively whatsoever,
but they were already doing that. The guy had already done that. Like this is the exact same almost scenario.
They didn't act.
He confronted him. He said,
they were being obnoxious. He said, hold
on. The guy confronted him. He said, leave me alone. He said,
how are they being aggressive? What do they do?
If you watch it, he said, leave me alone. Stop. And then the guy also took his phone several times and did a punching motion with the phone in his face. That's an aggressive assault.
Well, let me watch the video again. I don't recall that.
More than justified to shoot that guy, in my opinion. And secondly, I have the solution for all these problems.
It's like a year ago or so, right?
Yeah, I actually have the solution for all these problems. Is that we just bring back, like Texas did, dueling, and we just bring it across the board. So if you have a problem, y'all just go throw hands. If you got a problem with how somebody's yelling at grandma on the subway, you just start throwing hands with them. I'm just saying, if you we do it in Texas, y'all both agree, be like, I don't like what you did to the old lady. They gotta go fuck you, and you go fuck you back, you knock each other out, the cops show up, what happened? We duel, problem solved. If they die, he dies.
Mutual combat is illegal in Washington State.
I'm just saying.
You can do that there.
Again, this is kind of what happens.
The North is better than the South.
Before you do that, I want to say
we have that.
Scott, we were talking about before, right? You said we want to be careful or just not dissuade people from being able to use the proper to respond to aggressiveness from a possible threat, right? I hear you. I don't think what you're saying was unreasonable there, right? Like we can imagine a point where the public is like just too terrified to do anything, right? Like we can imagine, like if there's enough messages sent to the public that if you do anything and you possibly make a mistake, that you will be unreasonably charged, and then this ends up allowing more people to be victimized in public when they could have been assisted, by bystanders. So I hear you. I acknowledge that. But I also have to acknowledge what Doobie said as well. We don't want a person, like cops do this all the time. They say that they're terrified, right? And that's why we had to shoot a person who was running the other way, right? Or just like a person who is,
we can say cops are a different story. Let's set them aside, right?
Okay, fair enough. Someone's having some sort of breakdown, right? Or doing something that's odd or unusual, right? People interpret that as threatening and then take extreme violence against them, right? Like there is some sort of balance between these two where we tell the public, yes, just like anyone else, for any situation, right? You're responsible for your actions, and you need to weigh the appropriateness of those. Though at the same time, we can understand that there are extreme situations where you don't have all the information, right? You only have what you know, and adrenaline is there, and that clouds the situation, and you just need to act, right? We would like you to act, but we just need you to act. So, but there seems to be some sort of middle there, and I'm not sure.
Let me thread this a little bit. So I actually want to piggyback off of why Admiral Gibbs is right about something that he just said, so that I can explain the situation. Right?
Make duels great again.
Lactoid and I use different standards in terms, or at the very least, we're discussing different standards in terms of whether or not someone ought act. Right? I am using a standard purely of aggression, and Lactoid was specifically talking about the legal standard of fear for one's life. Now, Admiral Gibbs, the reason one said something interesting, which I think applies to the situation very much, which is you don't pull a firearm out and brandish it. If you pull a firearm out, you use it. Because when you pull a firearm out, what you're doing is you're escalating the situation. The moment you pull a firearm out, regardless of what was going on before that, that other person, justifiably or unjustifiably, now knows this is a life or death situation. This is no longer a situation where we're going to resolve this by throwing hands and then we're going to be friends later, right? This is a situation where I either run or I fight or I die. That's what happens. So if you pull a firearm out, you should never, ever, ever pull a firearm out just to point a firearm at someone in the hopes that you get them to calm down. You get them to calm down, and if you can't, you pull a firearm out, and the first thing you do is you kill them, period. When you pull that firearm out, you kill that person. You don't fucking try and wound them, you kill them. That's what a firearm is for. And if you're not ready to kill them, don't pull the fucking firearm out, because if you pull it out, you better be ready to kill them, because they're probably going to be ready to kill you. And so it's the same situation.
I've never agreed with Scott Moore. I have to be honest. I have never, ever agreed with Scott Moore.
Wait. Can I ask?
I mean, that's gun ownership 101, really.
Hold on. Okay, you're saying, stop. You're saying it's gun ownership 101. Okay, I don't agree. So let me ask you. If the cops pull their guns out, same concept, feel a threat, boom, no aiming, no get on the ground, just
cops
whip
are
it
different.
out.
I think I agree that this should also be the standard for police officers, and I think police officers pull their firearms out way too often, and it is one of the major reasons why so many different times there's an escalation problem. There's when police officers show up, for example, for a welfare check to try and see if they can get someone to calm down, and they hear that the person's somewhat erratic, so they come there with their fucking hand on their firearm or with their firearm drawn at a low position. That person that is in an unstable state of mind sees guns, and all of a sudden they start acting even more erratically, and then all of a sudden the fucking dude charges them or attacks them, and then people are like, well, we had to kill the guy because he came and attacked us. But if they didn't have their fucking guns out, there are definitely going to be scenarios where that person wouldn't have acted that way.
Let me give you a specific scenario. Let me give you a specific scenario.
Speaking of someone who's had a gun drawn on them. Sorry, Lactoid, go ahead. I apologize.
I just wanted to say, let's say you go on, there's somebody on the street with a machete, okay, and they're acting erratic. Cops show up and they're about 20 feet away. Should they be able to pull their guns out and aim their guns at the guy with the machete, or they should just show up and just cap him?
That's an armed individual.
So
that's
so
the
again,
issue. Is that it's a clear escalation at that point, right? That's the issue. Like Lactoid isn't that they pull their guns out, right? It's that when I say you pull the gun, you don't pull a gun out unless you intend or are ready to use it. The cops will fall in this like ready to use it category, right? It's not like I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna de-escalate the situation. Like, oh, this guy, you gonna whoop my ass? Oh, look, I got my gun.
No,
like,
that's not what I was.
Like,
okay, you misunderstood my point. No, you misunderstood my point. I agree that once you pull the gun out and aim it at somebody, you should be prepared to use it.
Right, and if they start like they go, oh, I'm saying this, back it up, like, oh, okay, immediately, sure. But if you're in a situation where I think I have to pull my gun, I'm shooting first and asking questions. But if you immediately queer, no,
yes,
Gibbs, then you shoot up, then you're in trouble.
Gibbs, this is literally my argument. When I watched that video, if he had pulled his gun out and the prankster like put his hands up, okay, we're all good. But he didn't even give a half second. He just literally, as soon as the gun was out and aimed, he pulled the trigger.
You don't know if this guy's got a gun too. This guy's been in his face the whole time.
Let me answer the question because you asked me, right? So in that situation, right, police officers, unless they're undercover, right, and I want to put that in a separate category, okay? If you can we do that? Can we put like plainclothes cops and undercover cops in a separate category? So uniformed officers, but it will make sense in a second. Uniformed officers,
I'll listen.
Are open carrying, right? So their firearm is not in a hidden position. Their firearm is right there on their belt. I am perfectly fine in that scenario with police officers putting their hand on their firearm, and if they have a holster that has a button on it or a releasing mechanism, pushing that releasing mechanism or flipping that button up. But I believe, right, I think it is important for best practices that you do not draw your firearm out unless you're going to shoot. That when it comes time, that like if you have someone in that situation, that you are inherently doing something that is escalating the situation and making violence between the police and the citizen more common. Now, I think police officers are in a different position to a certain degree, right? Obviously they fulfill a different role in society, and I think they should be held to a higher standard than citizens. But nevertheless, I think if you're a police officer and you pull out your firearm, that person is now understanding that guns are at play and that guns are ready to shoot them at any moment. And many people will react in a more violent means because those firearms are there. Now, some people, it may deter them. I agree. Some people may go, oh shit, I'm about to be shot in this situation. And it's going to be different from different perspectives. But I think that if you need to pull your gun out and have it in your hands, then you should already be shooting.
So if
you're in a situation where you don't need to shoot, then your gun shouldn't be out.
Okay, I understand your position here. I can imagine 100 different scenarios in which it's perfectly reasonable to pull your gun and, depending on their reaction, not shoot. So again, classic example, dudes in the street with a machete, or dudes like acting unhinged or whatever, shirtless and holding a knife, whatever the fuck he's doing. You show up. Not only is aiming the gun going to be, I guess, like a, hopefully get this guy to like stand down, but I want if me or a cop or anybody, if this person charges me, I want the barrel aimed at them. I don't want to have to fumble with my fucking holster, get the gun out, take aim, and then shoot when it can happen in seconds. Because here I am trying to de-escalate the situation, or at least prevent this guy from attacking other people, right? So I gotta kind of be within a somewhat close radius. And if I'm aiming my gun at them, then once they charge at me, then I can pull the trigger immediately. Meanwhile, I just gotta rest my hand on the pistol.
I'll quickly respond to that. I'll quickly respond to that. I understand your concern. I absolutely do. And I don't think what you're saying is unreasonable. What I am saying is that in those scenarios, a police officer should be going to the range so regularly that their ability to pull their gun out of their holster should be something you can get close to a second, if not quicker.
What if it's me, not a cop?
Hold on.
Again, if it's you and not a cop, I think the moment you pull your gun, you shouldn't try and de-escalate with the firearm. You should shoot.
No, even if they're like 15 feet away.
Guys, let me jump in here for a second. So I actually
make that choice. It's different than a right.
I actually had an officer pull their gun on me at a traffic stop because they saw my firearm underneath the seat of my vehicle. My personal opinion is they freaked out because in every other place in the world, having a firearm is just kind of normal. But That was okay. And I de-escalated the situation because I had an officer pointing a gun at me that I felt was fairly unstable. But I to some degree, I understand the officer's view. First of all, if there's a weapon at play, police officers are always going to have their gun out. Period. And they should, because they're more likely to be attacked than I am. Someone's more likely to just walk away than walk away from a citizen that can't arrest them, and they were more likely to attempt to hurt someone that can arrest them, and more likely is going to. So I kind of disagree with Scott here. I see what you're saying, Lactoid, is that if a guy's got a machete out in his hand, yeah, you should, a police officer should have their gun out, trained on that person,
yes,
ready to dispatch that person as they are trying to de-escalate the situation. However, whether or not that happens is not up to either of those people.
I think.
Yeah, but I would do that.
Private citizen.
I think there's a reason. Oh, sorry.
A private citizen like myself, I'm just going to shoot the guy. I'm just going to be honest with you.
What if he's 15 feet away?
I think there's.
What if he's how far? How far?
Let's say he's like 15 to 20 feet away. He's not
15 or 20 feet away. He's dead. 100%.
He's actually right on this, Lactoid. Like,
he's not charging.
15 to 20 feet away,
I've watched
he is
videos
dead.
for DTAC for my working security and stuff like that. People within 25 feet can be lethal to somebody with a gun, with a knife, especially if you don't even know if they're coming.
No, I know,
but through their bag like
21 feet is.
So if I just see somebody, with like holding a knife, like just cap him.
No, if they're an aggressive posture towards me, holding a machete in an aggressive posture towards me, you're going to die.
I wonder if I can find that video.
What if they're 15 feet away, but they're like acting a little bit weird, but they're walking backwards?
If they're walking away from me, that's fine.
Are you pulling at all, or are you just gonna like?
Well, I have a sub 1 second draw, so I'm good. But you should.
Okay, I don't have. I'm not that good. Okay.
I
should though. I should. Oh, that was the concession I was looking for. I should pull, and I should aim while I'm backing up. Yes, while I'm backing up, and if he charges me, then I'll know I'll be safe.
No, if he's backing up.
Don't back up. Hold on. Don't back up.
I'll back up too.
Yeah, but hold on. What define weird? Because what
if
it's
just like have an
hold on. Define weird. I actually have a problem with maybe what y'all just said here, because y'all said if he's acting weird, right? And listen. I live in a state where everybody's got weapons open there. Like I got people, everybody's got guns out. I see guys, gardeners with machetes. I see guys with machetes all the time. Like they're working on like brush and shit. Like, so you're telling me like Juan just gonna be walking down the street, muttering, yelling at his ex-wife on the phone, and y'all gonna be like, "Fuck that bitch, she's got a machete, bang bang." Like, nah. Now you're crossing the line here. Like, see, this is the problem. This is why all the aggression has to be a big factor here. Like, if you're sitting here threatening people versus like, "Oh, I'm yelling at the phone," you shouldn't just be drawing on people because they're yelling at a phone. Like that doesn't give you a right to. Like,
let's say they don't have a machete. Let's say they have a phone out that's playing a dumb fucking little like weird stupid prank. Like, do I have any duty then?
Hold on, the difference is one guy
has any duty to pull, or do I just like blast
them? One of these guys in the scenario you're describing was aggressely thrusting this phone into somebody's
obnoxious asshole.
Aggressively attacking this man.
Matter of fact, in that video, the only person to assault the actual person outside of the gunshot was the guy getting the Popeye's chicken that eventually shot. He hit the guy in the arm first.
Yeah, okay, I'm willing to forgive that though, okay, because that was reasonable.
The guy that shot him,
I know. The guy who shot.
He hit him beforehand.
Yeah, the guy who shot.
He was trying to get the guy to go away, and the guy
he's trying to get the guy to go away, and that's reasonable, right? The guy was being an obnoxious prick.
If you push somebody away, say you're getting too close, get away, and then they continue to get into your face, that's aggression. They are aggressing onto you after you've already said no, and I've deemed it necessary to push you away. No. Well, I would say yes, but like here, if you're sitting here going, are we arguing over? Hey, if someone gets in your personal space, you can push them to back them off you and then try to escape.
No, we're arguing about whether or not somebody's in your personal space. You get to shoot them.
That's what the guy did. That's what the guy did. And then after the guy did that, the guy came back and got in his face again. Yeah, you're getting shot at that point.
Okay, so hold on. I want to say something.
That's the topic.
Let's do that. I'm ready to talk about Fraudzilla.
Hold on, I'm going to say something. But
fair enough. I was just saying it's 10.
After y'all move to your topic, I got shit I gotta go do.
I guess I fall somewhere in the middle of Scott and Lactoid here. I've told you guys before this story, and I won't do the whole thing, but just that, like, hey, I reported a crime to some officers, right? I was trying to be a good citizen, so I reported a crime that I witnessed, and I approached a group of officers. There was like at least a half dozen of them, maybe more. All like very large officers, all armed, right? I approached them and I stopped like I'm yards away from them, right? So I'm not even in their personal space. I'm like yards away from them. I stop and I call out to them, "Hey, officers!" Right? And the first thing is they turn to me and they all put their hands on their guns. Crazy. That like the first thing they all put their hands on guns, and I had to explain myself, like, "Hey, I saw this crime," and then eventually they took their hands off their guns. That's crazy. The first response to a citizen approaching them, right? Not in their personal space, not even close. There might even been a barrier in between us because it was like within the subway. I forget if I was like on the other side of the turnstile or not. I don't remember. So I can't be sure.
Cops act like they have a target painted on them, man. I remember I pulled up next to one day and we just like was just like walked over to talk to him, and he had his gun out in the seat next to him. Like, that was crazy.
Yeah, that guy shouldn't be a cop. He should probably be doing something way safer.
I do want to say one thing.
That guy's gonna shoot somebody someday.
Real quick.
Hold on. Let me finish my words. Hold on. Yeah. Damn. Like, come on, guys.
My bad, homie.
Like,
I think we thought you were done. My bad.
No problem. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. So yes, I think I agree with Scott that that is an aggressive action, putting your hand on a gun in that situation, and cops should do that less to citizens. Absolutely, that should be taken. Whatever level it is at now, we have to find a better balance between when they take that aggressive stance to like show their authority or whatever the fuck, right? Your authority is known. You're a uniformed officer. Like, we get that, so it's unnecessary. But I'm also sympathetic to Lactoid when he's talking about like, hey, like a person can charge at you very quickly. A situation can escalate when a person like has a weapon, is a certain distance away from you, and you're expected to take out the gun, aim it properly so you don't hit anyone else, right? Don't shoot wildly in front of you, and then pull the trigger. It seems very reasonable to at least like have your gun out when the person has a weapon. Especially if you told them, hey, to drop the weapon, you haven't done that. After one command, I think it's very reasonable to take out the gun and aim it at them. I think there was like some consensus ground that we can find here between this as to when we escalate.
I want to clarify.
To say that, sure, but I think it's weird to say that the only point in time to pull out the gun is to execute individuals. In principally, I agree with what Gibbs and Scott was saying, and that like what a gun represents, how people react to guns, right? Principally, I understand what you're saying, that like it should only be drawn when all options have been exhausted and you're ready to kill the guy, right? Principally, I believe that, but practically, what our friend Lactoid was saying like makes sense to me as well, right? Like the practicalities of actually being able to use that gun in a responsible manner, in such a situation. So I'll leave it there. 9 then.
I just want to clarify. So first and foremost, I want to say there's very little difference between having a firearm at the low ready versus having your hand on your firearm in an open carry holster with the holster undone. But we're talking about split second difference, right? Like when you say, oh, we still have to pull out the gun, you still have to aim the gun. Having your firearm at the low ready, you still have to pull your gun up and you still have to aim your weapon. So we're talking about, if you're trained, a half a second difference between low ready versus your hand on the firearm in that half second, I agree that half second is going to make a difference, and that some police officers are going to die. That I agree. Number one. Number two, I would say that having your hand on your firearm, as well as having your firearm at the low ready, as well as pointing your firearm at the person, are all different levels of escalation. And what I'm stating is that there's a different level of escalation between having your hand on your firearm ready to pull it and having your firearm already pulled. And so I would also say this, that pointing the gun as well as having your hand near the trigger well with it pulled out are both acts of aggression. It is an act of aggression as far as I'm concerned to have your firearm out of its holster. Even if it's not pointed at the person, if you're at that is an act of aggression. Now, pointing it is a further act of aggression that is further escalatory. Now, what I'm saying is in the difference between hand on hip, hand on holster, ready to pull, versus low ready, let's say that is for a properly trained officer at most a 1 second difference. Okay? Now, that 1 second difference is going to be life or death for some police officers. However, what I'm also saying is that 1 second difference, or the difference between hand on the hip versus firearm at the low ready, is also going to be some level of difference in the way that people behave with police interactions, and that some of people are going to be saved by this. And what I'm telling you is that if you are an agent of the state, if you are a police officer, and let us not forget that these police officers, both by Town of Castle Rock v. Gonzalez and DeShaney versus Winnebago, do not have a constitutional or legal duty to protect you. Okay, these are agents of the state without a legal duty to protect you. That some of them are going to die, and I am saying that if you choose to have the job of being a law enforcement officer, I want you to take that fucking risk and not the citizens. I'm okay with more cops dying that chose to take that fucking job and saying that they need to be better behaved and that they need to be less likely to escalate situations. And if you don't like it, don't pick that fucking job, because we don't need firearms out, especially in situations where you have mentally ill people that you might actually be able to calm down, but now that your gun's out, they decide to charge you. I'm okay with a few dead cops. I'm cool with it in that scenario.
I agree with you. Go ahead, Marjorie.
All right. Well, like I said, I'm gonna head out of here. Hey, Lactoid, I am so happy to hear that you agree that people don't have to use lethal force with somebody being unarmed, not violent, hasn't laid a hand on nobody. You know, kind of like the Daniel Penny City. I'm talking about, you know, the prankster, right? Same situation though. You know, the guy was unarmed, maybe a little loud and annoying, right? But probably shouldn't have lethal force.
All you got to do is get to the right of Lactoid, and he'll agree with you normally.
Yeah. So I'm so happy you're there, because, you know, one of these days I am gonna approach Gibbs when he's at like the Chick-fil-A or Buc-ee's down in Texas, right? With all his like sussy baka, like closeted shit he be doing. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna come up to you and be like, hey Gibbs, and I hope Gibbs doesn't shoot me, okay?
Yeah, don't bet my life for that one. All right, y'all. Muted, Gibbs, we can't hear you. But I'm
I can't hear.
I say the Chick-fil-A might give you a medal right there. You know, like that's God's chicken. I'm defending God right there. You know.
All right, y'all. Y'all have a blessed evening. Holler at y'all later. Deuces.
Have a good one. Bye.
Take care,
Merry
everyone.
Christmas.
Okay. So let's get started on the topic at hand. But thanks all for who've sat around, if you've enjoyed this conversation so far. Consider supporting the channel, subs to the channel, give bits or give subs. We had that great week last week, so I'm sure most of you have subs, but consider resubbing, supporting this channel if you'd like.
You didn't get a mic though. You had that great all that cash flow come in last week. Huh?
Yeah. Well,
Twitch pays out. Twitch pays out on a monthly basis.
Like YouTube.
Or
does,
well,
yeah.
they can pay.
Okay.
They can do different.
Oh, use that PayPal link. Then no wait either.
Yeah, exactly. If only
Subs are better for the channel.
I I mean,
But not better for Prime in that moment.
Yeah. What Prime is worried about is Prime.
Getting immediate money to get a better mic is also better for the channel.
Yeah. But in any case, consider supporting this community. And if you are on YouTube, consider using a super chat. I'm watching the super chats, right? I wrested control of the super chats from Corey, who likes to shut those down.
I'll let you have it for now.
So consider using the super chat. We'll react to that and be much appreciated. Okay. Topic. Oh, also, this is Reverie Roundtable, which I have Mondays 8 p.m. Eastern. I sent that previously, but okay. Topic. A recent CoffeeZilla YouTube video explains the Counter-Strike Go skins economy. The video examines how rare gun skins are used as currency and what amounts to online casinos. The CSGO casinos rake in millions, but do so with zero oversight and protections for their consumer base. This has become a vector for young boys to enter the world of gambling since almost no age verification occurs. The results have been disastrous for some. This comes as there is an explosion of online sports betting that would provide a clean transition for these kids once they reach adulthood. Should we be concerned about this huge industry that targets young teens? What should society's response be? If you are concerned about minors getting involved in gambling, would a simple age verification gate assuage all your worries and make this acceptable? CoffeeZilla did a great video. Talking about the
CSGO donated $20 super chat. Merry Christmas.
You're echoing.
Sorry, that was me.
Oh,
we had a super chat come in on my side.
Okay, I think you misclicked whoever audience member. I think you meant to do it on this channel. Okay, it's fine. Try again. Just try again.
The TTS gets them, man.
Double the money. No,
I had been aware in the periphery about the CSGO skins and how valuable. I know they were traded. I know the whole thing about the loot boxes. But I did not know how deep it went with these casinos. I didn't know that I didn't know there were casinos, and I didn't know how much money that was being made with these skins, right? It was quite enlightening. But a thing that was made clear in the video is that this particular is a path for young teens to get involved, right? They see their favorite creator doing this, and then they decide to imitate them because that's what kids do. And that's what I have a bit of a problem with. Though I'm still not sure what my feelings are, like completely surrounding this. So I'm really curious what you all have to say. Sorry if I find Lactoid.
Yeah, I'm actually a really big fan of CoffeeZilla. Just as a content creator, he does a lot of good work exposing scams, crypto scam, a lot of crypto scams. I mean, that's the vast majority of it, really.
There's crypto scams.
Yeah, I know, right? The Paul brothers apparently have been affiliated with scams. A number of other people have been affiliated with scams. And yeah, I mean, I think he does good work and he exposed SBF, right? Sam Bankman-Fried with I forget the name of the platform, but he did a lot of good work with that. And I think it's look, I actually watched these FTX. Yep, I watched these videos. There's actually a part 2 now out. I watched both part 1 and part 2 before I even got the invite for this panel. I definitely follow this, and I think it's not just like there's a lot to this, right? Like it's not. The main kind of thrust here is that the CSGO gambling websites don't do age verification. They don't even try. Even the ones that are like, oh, we're so much better, they don't do age verification. And so what you get is a lot of small children gambling away their parents' money or their money, or getting addicted to gambling, et cetera, at a very young age. And yeah, this is like a big problem. And these third-party casinos make a lot of money doing it, essentially corrupting children. It's pretty fucked. The other part of the story that was pretty interesting is these different casinos are in pretty strong competition with one another, and they will organize like kind of mafioso-esque tactics to intimidate each other to try to gain more market share, right? So like they'll hire people to like put photos of them around town. They'll send like groups of people to their houses. Both like there's like two rival casinos that are in the video. They had to hire both of them have hired security guards to guard themselves like full time from the other casino. I mean, they're functioning like a gang. It's pretty fucked. They're acting like a gang, and I think they're hurting people, much like a gang does. I don't know. There should be real penalties. I think this is gambling, just straightforward, and children shouldn't gamble. So I'd be okay with just an ultimatum, right, from the government. Put an age verification or get shut down.
Okay, thanks so much, Scott.
Yeah, so I do think we ought to be worried about gambling websites targeting children, obviously. I think it's very clear that they are targeting children in some degree, in the sense that they fund so many streamers and things of that nature. I mean, one of the major reasons when I left Twitch, because I understood that if I continued on Twitch, the level of censorship that was occurring on Twitch was gonna be problematic for me to stay there, and I didn't want to lose the ability to go on Twitch panels if I got banned there. So I moved to YouTube. YouTube is also censorious, and there was other options available, Rumble and Kick being one of them. And the main reason why I refused to join Kick is because Bajani Tarani, one of the founders, Stake, set up online gambling that's targeted towards children. And that's what that streaming platform is kind of partially funded on, right? It's partially funded in supporting gambling streams. And that's why so many people went there. And so like morally speaking, I refuse to stream there. And also I feel like it's just dumb because I feel like the writing is on the wall that eventually, especially the EU, more likely than the US, will step in on this. And the European market will like destroy a lot of places like Kick and things of that nature. So it's just kind of doubly stupid to go there, both morally wrong and stupid. But the question is then ought we engage in government regulation of age verification for these websites? And so it's a scale here, right? It's a trade-off. Because if you engage in age verification, it becomes a privacy concern. Because now it's illegal to gamble without giving, obviously credit card information is not enough because all of these kids that are using debit and credit cards are obviously either using their parents or have set up a bank account and are like 15 or 16 and have a job, and are using their debit card. So if that's not enough, then what is? And what it seems like what they want to do is give your driver's license, give your driver's license number, right? These things connect to a ton of other government-based information. And ultimately, these websites are going to make up money by selling your data. And you're going to have your driver's license attached to your your IP address and all these other concerns. And now you're going to have China and other, bad places, telemarketers, et cetera, that have basically access to all of your online information. And I don't think that it's the right of the government to, in the name of protect the kids, to force people to give up their driver's license numbers or passports or things like that are highly done. I think credit cards, right, that are, have an adult is already kind of enough here. Nevertheless, I do recognize that this is a big problem. And again, the idea that the government needs to step in to fix this problem is really a bad one. Parents need to be involved. If your kids are fucking gambling, you should know about it. And you should be tracking your kids' finances, right? There is this weird thing that we have in our culture, this great lie that we have gaslit ourselves into. And it's usually because of age of consent and people are afraid to be called pedophiles. And the lie is that one day children turn a certain age that is whatever is an adult in your country, and then they're magically an adult. And the day before that day, they were a child, and then the day after their birthday, they're an adult. And the fact is that it's a gradient. That children become more cognitively aware and have better critical thinking skills over time, and that continues until about 25. And another fear that I have is that we use this nanny government to protect children under 18 from every form of temptation that's out there. And then the day they turn 18, magically the entire world of temptation is open to them. Like, you're not actually solving gambling addiction if you use everything you can to like keep these kids from doing something, and then the parents still aren't involved, don't teach them anything, don't teach them restraint or financial responsibility. They turn 18, and then all of a sudden it's perfectly fine and okay that an 18-year-old is gambling away all of their money. Like, no, like, temptation has to be there so that parents can teach children how to grow up and be in the world. It's a parent's responsibility to prepare them for the world, and using the government to steal data and using the government to give all of our personal identifying information to corporations that are overseas in poorly regulated places so that we can protect the kids is just not a solution that's going to lead to outcomes that we want.
Thank you. Very interesting thoughts, Scott. Let's go to our friend Corey.
Well, I'll try to keep it brief, but I actually agree with most of the points that both Lactoid and Scott just went through. In terms of, I agree with Scott overall, like fundamentally, like it is the parents' responsibility to hopefully parent their children. But unfortunately, I also recognize that, in my opinion, okay, which might be worth nothing, like I think most parents are bad parents for whatever reason, for a variety of reasons. And so it's like, well, then what do you do in that case? And I agree overall that it's a trade-off. But for me, I'm willing to make that trade-off in terms of, I agree with, at the very least, starting point of what Lactoid said, is a simple, well, maybe not so simple, but yes, age verification is a step in the right direction to see how that plays out. And what I'm somewhat curious about, so I'm not well-versed in the CSGO skin economy, but at least from what I understand, if it's similar to other games, it's very curious to me, like what makes a valuable skin? Is it just like that whatever Valve says it's valuable? It's like, well, it's
rarity.
Yeah, rarity. And so it's a little bit, yeah, that's what I figured as well. But yeah, it's a little bit strange. It's not like market-driven necessarily, at least not in my mind. It's just like, well, Valve says it's valuable because they make it valuable because it's more rare. And then there's also a status associated with it. Like, yeah, if a rare skin shows that you spent a lot of money on it. It's just like a very weird economy. But I understand the temptation there. In terms of like, well, if you're a child and whatever, yeah, all you care about is your online reputation, then you want to flex in a video game, right? And that's what you're going to prey upon. And I think in the video that I saw that you sent, Prime, I think it in the end it alluded to the fact that, well, ultimately maybe Valve is the ultimate party responsible, in that they probably have the ultimate ability to contend with this, and yet they're not. I think there are probably reasons for that, since it's in their interest. But yeah, I would probably more point the finger at both the parents and Valve. But I also understand that they're probably not going to step in. And so that's where age verification hopefully does something. And I'll leave it there for now.
Oh, sweet Corey. I wish it was only children who thought like skins and games were so goddamn valuable. I
know it's adults too.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just
we're all a child at heart.
Yeah. I'm just agreeing with you that yeah, it's quite strange. It's a quite strange situation. Like with this economy, it's just interesting.
This line of code is valuable. Buy it. Spend all your money.
Spend all your money, please. Now I'm curious what Doobie says, because we've talked about something similar in the past. So Doobie, please, what are your thoughts?
I think this is a parenting issue that's being passed off on everybody else. I don't care that people lose their money gambling on dumb shit. Yeah, it just seems like this is a nothing burger. Okay, this is still the old meme. I don't really understand why people care so much about it, to be honest with you. I think that if you have a gambling addiction, you should probably, go see a therapist or something, go to some counseling. I don't see how that's everybody else's problem. I think that it's fine for these companies to exist. I think it's fine for them to do what they do. I don't really care that they're doing this in games that are children's games, quote unquote, even though we know that a lot of people who play these games are adults in the first place. But yeah, some kids might fall into this. Sure, that's a parenting issue, so I don't care.
Thank you so much. All right. I'm curious if Gibbs will be any different from what Doobie just said.
Yeah, I mean, first, we can't talk about this issue without talking about CoffeeZilla himself. And CoffeeZilla is a clout-chasing hater who hates hardworking American entrepreneurs. He specifically has a hard-on for the Paul brothers and constantly constantly goes after all their ventures, then tries to paint them in a bad light, even though they take remedial actions. This guy is such a hard-on for them that he's even been sued by the Paul Bros here in Texas, and it looks to have a good case that he's probably going to lose. Then the guy turned around and goes after the hot tour girl who had nothing to do with the scam itself, and it's some company just paid her for her likeness. She went on record, gave the info for the law company handling the class action, saying she disapproves of what they did and she's a victim too. Fraudzilla here, though, hasn't covered any of that. He's just a clout chaser and has a personal vendetta against the Paul Bros. In fact, you can look at a lot of his cases, and it seems he has a hard-on for a couple groups who have excluded him from stuff in the past. This is one of those guys that you associate with, and he'll probably record every convo and try to trick you or confront you for shock value in order to make you look bad and take advantage of your good nature. Douchezilla, in my opinion, seems like a total clout-chasing scumbag, drama farmer, and the way he goes after people. That's problem number one. Let's talk about that. Second, as for the CSGO skins, this is being blown way out of proportion. People that have kept their skins since day one have been the ones who have benefited most by having these rare OG skins. They've dictated the market. This market is driven just like any other market, driven by supply and demand. These types of casinos pop up all the time with almost any currency. If you're into this kind of thing. If you look at further, sometimes they use crypto as well. The outrage this time, once again, it all comes back to good old Scrubzilla. He has a hard-on for the crypto people, and he has people he's got a personal vendetta for. This is another one of those that fall in that category. People against this market are really anti-free market. What kind of person would be opposed to creating new markets? Usually the skins is just a creative new market, much like when they used Second Life currency a few years ago, items in WoW, or any other game that's large enough to have a second market. These are all products of the free market. We should be encouraging this, and people that don't want these things, want them regulated or targeted, are like anti-free market. It's terrible. It's really simple. Don't just anti-free market. Now, as for who to blame, it's the parents' fault. If these parents are so observant that they don't know these kids are taking their own money, then fuck them. Let the kids spend the money how they want if they make it on their own, and let them take some personal accountability and learn what loss is. You know, it's personal accountability is a hard word for a lot of these people, and that's why they want this regulated. They don't want parents to take accountability because they're lazy scumbags who don't know what their kids are doing, or they don't want these kids to learn how to lose. It's just pathetic, and that's really the bottom line. It's the parents' fault, and they want to blame somebody else, and they want daddy government to come in here and take care of shit.
Thank you so much, Gibbs. God, you're amazing.
I really appreciate that energy. That was really good.
No problem.
Great, please.
All right, so I like to break this down by the argument or the prompt that you gave me. Rather than kind of go off course. So should we care about this? Yeah, absolutely, we should. And I actually did kind of a deep dive into this. I have some of my audience actually have done some investigative work into this, not Cloutzilla Gibbs. But and I actually got an education a little bit on this today. I didn't know a lot of the things that I know now, and it's very interesting to me. It's an interesting dynamic. Now, I'm going to start by saying that for the most part, I have no problem with kids gambling. I think that kids need to understand the risk reward system and what it's like to fucking lose. And when you take that away, you kill something inside a kid. You just do. So I'm anti-nanny state, and I don't believe that that's a real thing to worry. I think that parents should be a part of that. And we used to enjoy that. That actually used to be something that fathers and sons did together, and place a gentleman's wager, and you would lose or you would win, and the kid got to see that. Now they don't. And that's okay, I guess. It sucks for a bunch of people, but that's okay. But however, the problem that I have with CSGO is it's such a scam. Most of these sites where they're gambling aren't even gambling sites. Nobody wins. They just take these kids' money and give them nothing in return. And that we absolutely should be concerned about. We should do something about that because that's called stealing. We don't allow that in most places on Earth. However, we do apparently allow it in CSGO. It's great. It's wonderful. It's a great time for everyone who plays. Now, if the scam actually paid out, I would not have nearly the problem. However, it doesn't. And that's been, I guess there's been some proof of that. Now, I did dig into that. Maybe not enough. Now, again, I feel like that you got to learn this risk reward dynamic. But getting cheated out of your money, that's not cool. I do believe it's the parents' fault to keep an eye on that, or responsibility to keep an eye on that. However, I also believe that there is some responsibility on society to, when a bad thing is happening to a large percentage of people, society as a whole has to do something about, or should do something about it, ought, if you will. Do something about it. We know that the youth are targeted because the streamers that are promoting this are promoting it to their audience, which consists largely of younger demographic, and they are getting paid millions to promote this. One of them, apparently, like $5 million, this guy makes to promote these gambling sites. Now that's a lot of money, folks. And if you don't believe someone will lie for $5 million, well, you're fucking wrong. And none of those people, by the way, all those people said that they know it's wrong, but they wouldn't stop when you watch CoffeeZilla's video. So what should our response be? I like that question. Society, and I'm assuming that we're talking about the U.S. because we actually have gambling laws to prevent underage gambling. A lot of other countries don't. Well, actually, we can't do shit, because most of this happens in Scandinavian and European countries that don't recognize underage gambling, and therefore it's not illegal. As a matter of fact, one of the countries that they had a problem with called it a lottery system. They got caught, I believe it was in Denmark, and that company no longer exists as it was. It's been reformed into another company, which is de jure for the or de rigueur for the time. So there has to be some kind of sanction. I don't know what it would be. I would say that the U.S. needs to basically say, hey, you can't do it here, geo-blocking, all of that kind of thing that we do, which is fairly normal, and just kill all of the gambling on CSGO. And the other insidious thing that CoffeeZilla talks about, and also my source actually talked about it as well, is the esports aspect of this. Is that the esports subsist largely on funding from these gambling sites. And without that, and the Slay the Minotaur, who is I believe he's like chief of operations. His name is Scott too. Slay the Minotaur said, without gambling or skin trading, or rolling is what they call it, the entire CSGO culture would die. And he goes on. He went on to say a bunch of other things. Mainly, I really like, thank your local crackhead in Twitch chat, folks. It is because of them you're watching your favorite esports teams play. Sam Cook. I was wrong. It's not Scott. It was Sam. So if you're concerned about minors getting involved in gambling, and I'm going into the prompt here, would a simple age verification gate assuage all your worries and make this acceptable? No, because it does nothing to solve the actual problem, which is the cheating, these kids getting defrauded, and all of that sort of thing. And the last thing I'll wrap up with is, while I really like all of the energy about CoffeeZilla, I don't really care about him. I actually really do understand this. My kid plays CSGO. He's 14. By and large, a lot of these guys are getting into it when they're 12, 13, 14 years old. It's these larger streamers that are influencing these children, which is what they are. They're not adults yet, to do these things. And we really have to pay attention to it as parents. We also have to pay attention to it as a society. And that is that. And I beat you on that one, Scott. I bet I was longer. I bet I went longer.
The competition now?
I mean, he goes long.
Let's not make it come.
I can't wait till next panel. It's all opening statements just for the 3 hours.
Look, I try to get out my principal arguments, because I know that once the panel starts, being able to discuss things in an intelligent way is going to go down a lot.
Scott's right. When the panel starts, he can never get a word in. So
not a word.
I realized that. That's why I had to do that.
Ali,
Okay.
please.
All right. So, as much as I agree with everyone in the panel, it's one, yeah, I think kids should be banned off the internet, right? Like they should be limited use, you know, maybe some Wikipedia or some like Googling for research, whatever it may be, like, you know, at least until 16. In terms of like, huh?
Wikipedia has pictures of boobs, so I wouldn't even trust that.
You verified every page on Wikipedia thing.
I have. All the ones with boobs. Go ahead.
But yeah, in terms of like online gambling in general, much less to just CSGO, because I don't think it's a CSGO problem. I think this is a big issue. Obviously, you know, adults losing money, I don't give a fuck. It's kind of your problem. My question is like, we keep letting these companies kind of do whatever the fuck they want, and we don't want to regulate them because, you know, God forbid we put any regulations down. But like, what happens? And this is not even like empathy. It's empathy for the businesses. What happens when all the people that use their product are broke, right? Like if everyone's broke, you don't have any, like, you know, supply and demand doesn't really even matter if people can't afford the things they demand. So like that's really kind of like the question is, like, we can let the companies do whatever the fuck they want, and adults should be able to regulate, and we should hold, you know, parents accountable for their kids. Like or parents should be accountable of their kids. Like they should be. But really, like what's happening is no one's holding anyone accountable. Everyone's kind of just losing money. It may not be a big problem in the CSGO community specifically, but like Fortnite skins were like a thing, like V-Bucks is a thing, like kids taking their parents' money and just giving it to these companies, and even adults like kind of getting swindled by these companies. The bigger issue is like when we're all poor, what happens?
Up to the panel.
I want someone to answer. So I play SWTOR, right? Star Wars: The Old Republic, right? It's one of the longest running MMOs. Great game.
SWTOR.
Yeah, but hey, guess what? Now's the time to come back. They just did a graphics revamp, and they're doing the new Malga storyline sometime in the next few weeks. But anyway, go on. Moving on from that, I play SWTOR.
Sorry.
Yeah, hey. Well, I play SWTOR. It's one of the oldest MMOs. I have skins from my very first character, like that are worth thousands of dollars. Are y'all telling me that I shouldn't be able to go on the secondary market and sell my skins, or like basically the equivalent to skins, or like 6 items or whatever, for the money that it's worth, due to the market determining how rare these are?
No, nobody's saying that.
No, nobody's saying that. Okay?
Nobody said.
So if you're not, okay, cool. So we agree on that. So if y'all agree with that, why shouldn't a website, maybe a gambling website per se, say, hey, you know, we take crypto, we take any forms of payment. We're also going to accept $1,000 for this item in SWTOR. What is the logistical problem from a
There's
$1,000
no problem with what you
I know
said.
y'all want to argue. Okay, there's no problem so far.
There isn't.
All right, cool. So the problem is then that we agree that these companies should have the right to do that. We agree that these people, these kids should have the right to do that. And the people that are benefiting from this the most are the people that own these skins. Well, hold on.
Here's where
the only thing you'll have is where the kids are doing it. But there's no problem, because also the point I think you made, Grid, actually whoever said the idea about these gambling companies keeping some of these communities alive. Now, I wouldn't agree they're 100% responsible, because I think the market determines some of what these gambling companies are allowed to do. But it is absolutely true that these gambling companies will be able to keep these companies at least partially in business, because they'll spend money on advertising, which allows the games to keep going in perpetuity. They allow a secondary interest because people can find ways to use the currency in game. And people can earn these currencies in game, so it can create a secondary market where
but you're ignoring the actual problem, Gibbs.
Hold on, I'm pointing at all these other benefits before we get to the actual problem, because y'all, this is what y'all are sitting here willing to do. Y'all are willing to sit here and let all these irresponsible parents dictate to all
we're not
y'all.
talking about the parents
it's so
right now.
sad. Well, yeah, I mean we are, because that's whose fault it really is. I mean, to be fair, that's what a lot of other people say. That's a lot of these people just don't y'all are willing. Well, listen, y'all can you can pick out who I'm attacking individually later. The point I'm making is that the parents are like the ones responsible. Y'all are sitting here saying all these other people like aren't worthy of your time because you're concerned about one issue. Y'all are willing to ban this and are going to hurt all these other people that benefit. That's a big problem.
What do you think?
Yeah, so maybe I think I know how Gibbs gonna respond, but we'll find out. So I'm curious, Gibbs. 'Cause I agree there's a parenting issue, but I also recognize parents don't solve everything, and bad parents exist unfortunately. So What is your view on, let's say, smoking and childhood smoking? Should that be permissible to you?
I mean, the parents should be the one to stop. I mean, we've already made it illegal.
So you're okay
We've
with
made it illegal.
Are you okay with a vendor selling cigarettes to children?
Listen,
should we make it?
Of course, parents.
Okay.
I think the parents should be the ones. If someone walks up, who is the government to tell you who you can't sell to? That sounds like some sort of ism to me. Maybe ageism.
To be fair, I did used to pick up cigarettes from my parents.
If you walk up with money in your hand, it's none of my business what you do with it after that.
So you can say yes that a vendor should sell cigarettes to children, or can sell.
I think people should be able to sell whatever the fuck they want to sell.
Can you say yes? Can you say? Can you?
Yeah, let's go.
Should you be able to sell black tar heroin to an 8-year-old, Gibbs?
If they listen, I'm not. As long as they don't do it in my shop, it's none of my business what happens.
Yes, just say yes.
Okay. Listen, I'm just saying. I think you should be allowed to sell whatever you want.
It's a hard bullet to bite, man. It's a hard bullet to bite.
But he's biting it. But he's biting it.
Barely.
But that's not the. That's actually not.
He just said nibbling.
That's really not the biggest problem.
He said you should be able to sell. You should be able to sell whatever to anybody. And I said,
I'm just saying, yeah.
Be okay with somebody selling black tar heroin to an 8-year-old.
I understand everybody else's.
Saying no.
I understand everybody else's problem.
I wouldn't sell black tar. I wouldn't sell black tar heroin.
Okay,
but if Bob
Gibbs,
the road wanted to be
Gibbs,
selling
I
black
get
tar
it.
heroin,
I get it. We understand that it's we understand your point. My point is that if you go out and you put your skins on this website, and you're gonna gamble them, for whatever, and you never win and you lose all of your stuff because it's not even really a game. It's all rigged. None of the algorithms work. It's not like Vegas where, there's a standard where,
I just looked that up, but after you said that, it said that they have odds similar to Vegas.
Well, no, that's got to be.
That's what a lot of. That's what a lot of those websites say.
That's got to be a press release.
Hold on, they said it's equal to slots, where about 96% of people lose on slots. Most of the time they do it, and so 4% win. That's equal. So I don't see a problem. Yeah, I mean, just because you want to spend your money stupidly doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to do it.
I don't disagree with that. However, the information that I got earlier was that some of these games are literally programmed so that you cannot win. They only and they have no standard to assure that 90% ratio like in Vegas. Vegas is different because there's a standard, there's a criteria that they have to meet.
Should there even be a standard, like 90% ratio?
Yeah, how many people win like a scratch off, like for the Mega Millions? Like how many people win the Mega Millions? You said they buy. Well, we only know like 3 or 4 people win a Mega Millions max, right? Every time, except for some rare scenario, and millions of people nationwide just basically lose every time they spend money on a Mega Millions. Are you saying we should ban the Mega Millions?
But somebody does win. When nobody wins and everybody's just taking your money, then how do you feel about that?
I mean, but what I'm saying is I haven't seen any proof that they're never winning. If I have, then I might have a problem with it. But I've seen a lot of proof that their odds are similar.
It's a gamble. They might get to a website that doesn't steal from them, right?
Yeah,
that's a gamble. That's a gamble within a gamble. Yeah,
that's a double gamble.
I want to hear. DB want to say something? I want to touch on that, and then Scott.
Yeah, good. Why should there even be a 90% like a standard of the casino or this gambling site or whatever, giving 90% of the money back through winnings? Like, why should that exist? Like, to me, it seems like this is a stupid thing that people do. They want to risk their money in this way. If they're making the decision to do that, fuck it, let them do it. That's what they want to do. Like, why should we impose a standard on the casino?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
So that people don't feel like so that people are not literally cheated. Look, a game of chance is a game of chance, and that's fine. I don't have any problem with that. But when literally it's rigged so that you cannot win, that's stealing. That's no longer gambling.
But what if one person?
Now you freely do that, right? So the argument can be made.
What if it's rigged in a way that 99.99% of people are going to lose, but one guy's going to win? Like, why isn't that okay?
But there is no 99.9%.
But there is. That's what I'm saying.
Nobody wins. Nobody wins because it's fixed to get your money.
People absolutely win in these casinos. Like, what do you mean? People win in these gambling sites.
You could go to web streams and watch them win.
Okay.
Like,
all right. Well, maybe.
I'm sure those streamers are totally normal players.
Yeah, they're totally.
Using their own money.
It's all legit.
Hey, listen, if somebody wants to pay me to go lose money on a gambling website and watch me, I will do it, folks. I'll do it for you.
You ever watch XQC or Trainwrecks sit there for an hour, spam clicking $1,000 bets over and over again?
No, what I watch.
It's like fucking degenerate as fuck. Like, I don't know why they do this.
Well,
no, who I watch is a person somebody named
money usually when they do that, but it's like it's gross.
Have you ever heard of a man named Bossman Jack?
It sounds familiar.
Okay, you should watch this guy. Or maybe you shouldn't, but you should watch this guy. He's a gambler. He's a gambling streamer. And he like embodies like the most degenerate kind of gambling you could think of. He embodies every aspect of it, right? Like he got arrested a few times, so he can't do drugs now. But like he was quite literally just like smoking crack and like gambling all of his money away. And then every time he ran out of money, he would freak the fuck out and destroy his door. Eventually, his door like got taken off the hinges because he kicked it down. Horrific shit. And look, gambling is addictive. In fact, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that it's either as harmful or perhaps in certain cases even more harmful than chemical addiction. And it can destroy you. And people who are problem gamblers have high comorbidities with alcoholism and other illnesses, and they have a very high suicide rate.
Wait,
I think
this
that
guy's
children
job crack and gambling, was that his job?
This guy's Bossman Jack's job was crack and gambling. Yeah.
Damn that! At least I'm not saying I'm jealous.
Well, you shouldn't be because he got arrested because he's had a lot of problems.
I think Admiral Gibbs is going for the Charlie Sheen Award.
He's living in his mom's attic. You can visibly see he just doesn't shower. It's very disgusting.
I don't know about all that part, but
he just does crack and gambles.
He's like Asmongold, but gambling. Instead of like
you know what? That's actually not a bad comparison, just in terms of like I don't know. You watch him; he's very entertaining. He's very loud and aggressive.
I want to say add something. I want to kick to Scott. I actually want to direct this to Scott. So, do you think? Okay. Well, I want to explore what Doobie was saying a little later on because I think it's super interesting. I really want to circle back on that. But for now, do you think that there should be any sort of regulations on these child casinos? Like it seemed like your argument previously was that we should allow these casinos to exist to give some level of risk. People, even kids, should be allowed to suffer, and there's a level of parental responsibility on top of that to help children navigate these issues as they grow up. Okay, and I believe an argument that you've made previously is that, the market will work things out, right? You have a number of casinos, right? And you have the supply, this demand, this free flow of money, and that generally, if there are bad actors, the market will work itself out. Like if they're, cheating within their games, that people will eventually figure that out. But when we're dealing with children, right, who have like the least, smallest view into any particular market, right, and the smallest amount of like experience managing these things, right, it would seem, and a market that like replenishes itself quickly, like in terms of demand, right? And that like there's new children popping up who are freshly naive to all these things. Do you think the market will just work itself out where bad actors will filter out, or that we need some sort of imposing standard on these individuals? Please.
So I think this is a bit of a misnomer where people say the market will work itself out. That's not true. The market will work itself out to giving people what it is that they value most. That's what the market will work itself out to. The market will eventually balance towards moving people, individual people's most valued means towards their most valued ends, right? Like I have money and I'm willing to give up this money, and I have a goal for this money, and the market will work that out. When the government steps in, it disrupts that process. Right. So that's first and foremost. But that doesn't mean that the market will get rid of degeneracy. If you have a degenerate culture that values degeneracy, then the market will give them degeneracy, right? I mean, we see this with porn, for example, right? We see this with like OnlyFans stars, and we're seeing it even here with the CSGO. If the market wants gambling, the market will provide, if people want gambling, the market will provide gambling. When you have the government step in to attempt to stop what it is that people want, you will have some effect on the demand, right? It's obviously true, right? If drugs are legal and then all of a sudden drugs become illegal, well, some level of people are no longer going to value doing drugs versus the risk of getting caught, right? But some people are going to value it nevertheless, and then you create a black market, right? So every form of regulation always comes with a risk of the cost of regulation and the cost of enforcement, which is money stolen out of the market towards its most valued ends, right? Every dollar you spend on regulation is a dollar that could have gone somewhere else in the market to grow businesses. And so it's always going to lead to economic degrowth, which means more poverty, more people living in, with less opportunities and less growth, less jobs available. It will always lead to that. It cannot not lead to that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it won't have the intended effects of getting rid of things that you don't like in the market, such as this gambling. So I agree that, like I said, I agree that children gambling, especially if they become addicted while their brains are still developing, can be problematic. I just disagree that the trade-off of age verification beyond credit cards and debit cards, right, is worth everyone that chooses to engage in this market their privacy rights and their data versus the concept of protect the children, because when the government's regular, they're attacking a symptom, not a cause, right? The cause is that our culture has given up on two-parent households. The cause is we have a nuclear family instead of a collective family with grandma and grandpa and church services and a community of people that are all watching children and collectively helping raise children. Instead, you have one or two-parent households with parents that are off busy all day and kids that are given free reign and a credit card at home being raised by the internet and being raised by streamers instead of being raised by their fucking parents. And the government's not fixing that by going after one type of gambling. It becomes whack-a-mole because you're not actually attacking the cause, you're attacking the symptoms. And so another symptom pops up.
Who would impose the age gate for the credit card? Who would tell these people to do that?
I mean, the U.S. is probably the less likely candidate. It's almost certainly the EU.
Sorry,
right?
I meant who should do that? Let me phrase that.
Well, I think websites probably, if they don't want children involved, should do it. But I think, parents obviously should be the primary enforcer of this. Should be paying attention to what your kids do online.
Sure, parents, great.
I'm sorry, maybe I'm misinterpreting the question.
Yeah. I'm saying that you seem to agree that credit card should be effective verification, right? Or even if not effective, it should just be good enough, a standard, right? Should there be anyone imposing this standard? Should there,
well, no, I'm saying that's the standard that we already have on these websites, right? Because in order to get the money, most of them are not going to be fully based on cryptocurrency, right? Most of them are going to accept payment processing, right? So in order to get the money, they need a debit or a credit card. And it's, if you're a parent and you're letting your 12-year-old either have your credit card or have their own debit card that you're not paying attention to, that is a serious parental issue.
You can get those from the store.
Website issue.
You can get
you can
those
get gift cards, right?
Yeah, gift cards.
Sure, but I mean, at that point, your kid is now using cash that they got somehow, going to a grocery store and buying cards so that they can engage in gambling behind their parents' back. We have a problem beyond the fucking
Birthday money
website at this point. Right?
They save their allowance.
I feel like
Birthday money,
it's not directed to you.
Or steal.
This can be anyone, right? I see you grid.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even what I was trying to say. I was just answering your question, but it's fine.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I just I think that we use this excuse of the parents should know like too often. To a certain extent, I'm always going to agree that like um at some point, like this is like your child, you need to be within their lives. I would encourage all parents to be within their children's lives to
Right.
help guide them. But at some point, like it is unreasonable to say that a child should that a parent should have known, right? Like this is why Blacktoid, seemed like it was reasonable. Like the question he had asked to Gibbs, like should stores be allowed to sell black tar heroin to children? Right now,
absolutely,
yes, parents should be involved into the financial.
100%.
If a child wants that, we have a problem with the parenting. But the stores should still be disallowed.
Listen, why do you stop business owners from making a profit, like for their families, and stimulating the economy? No, really though, like that's like
really though. Come on.
I don't like. Listen. If your kid's all buying black hard heroin at 8, guess
you can't
what?
even pronounce it.
Yeah, exactly. I can't even pronounce it. That's how bad of a parenting problem is. If your kid's off doing this, there's something wrong going on at home. And guess what?
There is.
Yeah, it's called look in the mirror. No personal accountability.
There's a substantive difference
for an 8-year-old.
There's a difference here, right? And hold on, and the substantive difference here, right, is there's a difference between knowingly selling a product to a child. So when you're talking about black tar heroin, and presuming, let's say in this case, you go to like the drugstore, right? And you have what is in front of you, an obvious child, right? So there's a difference between selling a product to a child, knowing that it's a child, right? Versus being presumably negligent in determining whether or not someone is a child. And the problem with the former versus the latter is if I can prove that you knowingly sold something to a child incapable of consent without their parental involvement, right? Then you have violated the rights of the guardian, their parent, right? But this concept of like negligence in determining whether or not a product is being sold to a child can be problematic because negligence is a subjective measure here, right? Should we use IDs? Okay, maybe that's the standard. Or maybe we need a blood test, right? Because maybe they have a fake ID. So maybe a good fake ID isn't good enough of a standard. So we need like their birth certificate records, right? You can always move that goalpost on what is considered, negligent in one's duty to, knowingly weed out. I mean, it may seem ridiculous to us, but that is a subjective measure. But if you can prove that someone knowingly sold something to a child, that's different, right? And that's why these companies don't use age verification, because they know that there are kids there, et cetera. I just want to point out, because, I was waiting to speak on this, not answer questions.
Sorry.
Number one,
well, I got
fraud,
a question for you.
Right? There is a difference between a website saying on their website, hey, look, 90% of people lose. Right. Or not even telling people like, hey, you might win, you might lose. Right. But that's caveat emptor, right? Buyer beware. If you're going on a website that doesn't tell you what percentage of people win and it's an absurd loss percentage and you don't know, like that's buyer beware. But if someone such as like Hype Drop, right, is saying, oh, when you're engaged in this, even if you lose, you'll be able to recoup those losses via daily drops, and then they stop the daily drops, that's fraud, right? Like they made a promise that you would be able to recoup your losses and that your losses would really just be an investment, and that they were going to take that money they were making now and invest it and turn a profit and you'd get all your money back. But really their business model was taking your money now, investing it if you lost, and then eventually you'd get it back, but you wouldn't get back as much as they would have gained from investment. That's fraud, and those people absolutely should be criminally charged and have their assets taken away. It's not the same thing. The second thing that I wanted to state is that no one here is talking about the positives of CSO skin gambling or loot boxes in gaming. And I want to, for a moment, just kind of showcase an example. And I think we all know Diablo 4 came out recently, right? Last year. And that now Diablo 4 sold for $70 in June of 2023. In today's dollars, that's $72.38. Now, the people that worked on creating Diablo 4 was roughly 9,000 people had some hand in the development and creation of Diablo 4. Diablo 2 released in the year 2000, and it sold for $60, which is $112.14 in today's money. So just adjusted for inflation alone, we're talking about a $40 difference in the game being cheaper. And it had 70 people working on it, not 9,000 people. The graphic fidelity, the sound design, all of these improvements in a AAA studio being able to bring a game have occurred with massively more money spent. Hundreds of millions of dollars are spent on AAA games to give you these products, as opposed to less than 10 million by a bunch of nerds in a basement. And the games are a lot better because of it. And the way that these
I would argue that
games
Diablo 2 is better than Diablo 4, but that's my personal opinion.
I would actually agree with you as well. But on the whole, right, like we've seen a massive improvement in the very least in graphic fidelity, combat systems, etc. Yes, sometimes the story sucks and a company gets too greedy. I agree. But what I'm trying to state is that the reason that much money can be spent is because of the existence of gambling. If you take away loot crates and gambling from these systems and you just go to, maybe just cosmetic skins and the purchase of the game itself, in order for these businesses to be able to produce these games, you're going to have to buy games at $200-300 price. Like, you're going to have to spend $200 to $300 for a new game to come out. The overwhelming majority of money, if you listen to these these earnings reports, etc., come from whales that spend a lot of money on loot crates or on cosmetics. And not all of these people are addicts. And the reason that we know not all these people are addicts is because we can look at a game like Path of Exile, where there are no loot crates and there are no gambling, and the overwhelming majority of their money comes from people that are spending a fuck ton of money on cosmetics. It's the combination of these two systems and games as a service, but especially the gambling portion of games, that have made games get much, much cheaper over time, despite having much, much more money put into them. And it's like we start regulating and banning these things, you're going to end up with more expensive games.
Couldn't we argue that the issue is that too much money is being spent on the games? We can just look at the Sweet Baby, whatever, the fiasco with Sony.
Sweet Baby Inc.
Yeah, Sweet Baby Inc. Thank you. Can we argue that too much money is being put into these games? There's too much money spent on things that aren't necessary.
The game shouldn't cost $150 million.
Hold on. Yeah. Y'all bash. Wait, is the argument now that they're spending too much on games because y'all don't like the culture, or you just like saying that they're not getting the money, their money's worth of the spending? Because those are two drastically different things here that we need.
I have no idea where you got there from here. He's saying that gambling helps the game. I'm saying that if we want to take Sweet Baby Inc., for example, they spent how much?
Sweet Baby's like irrelevant. It's a small company. It's like nothing.
But they spent a ton of money.
Okay, my question is, let me give you an
nothing.
example. So, like, the newest Halo, for example, is like probably the most expensive Halo produced, and it came out and it came out initially to good reviews, and then people we only got 70% of the game, and people were mad about the money spent. Right? And I can see why people would be mad that a company spent all this money and time and released a half-finished product. Okay, that's one problem. Right, but to argue that these companies don't need to spend a lot of money, like at the AAA level, to compete, okay, for example, there's a reason why EA spends millions of dollars and then drops almost the same Madden game every year, because slight improvements take a drastic amount of money and investment time to get them on already their good system. So it's you're talking about orders of magnitude better, right? Well, sure, you can argue whatever example you want. The point I'm making here is I don't know how you quantify what's the appropriate amount of money being spent on these games to produce them, unless your argument is we're either A, we're not getting enough, which could be a fair argument, or B, you're arguing I think the culture of these companies are spending so much money and people are buying it is bad, and we should move people away from gaming. That's the other argument, and I'm kind of taking
that has nothing to do with anything I said. Okay, I don't know how you got there from here.
Well, cool. I'm just clarifying because that's gonna seem the direction it was going, and I had a little concern there.
I was really clear
to looking at the game. I agree.
I want to ask a question after that, and I do want to talk about a doobie too.
I want to just quickly answer, right? So I agree that like Sweet Baby Inc. and things like that are wastes of money, that many of these AAA studios have gotten too large and have a lot of bloat. I mean, Ubisoft is like a great example of another company that's being crippled by spending too much money. Nevertheless, 20 million was spent in development on Diablo 2, which is 37 million in today's money, right? But we can look at a company that didn't do this, that had a relatively small studio and had a breakout success in gaming, which would be Baldur's Gate 3. Roughly 120 million was spent on Baldur's Gate 3 development. And that's a small studio that has been hailed as like not bringing in a bunch of bloat and waste, right? Like that was so I mean, like even a small studio, I mean, obviously, you know, they had Divinity Original Sin and Divinity Original Sin 2, and they basically made Divinity Original Sin 2 so that they could hopefully prove worthy of getting Baldur's Gate, because that's what they really wanted to make. And so even they had to spend roughly 120 million in order to make that game, and there's no bloat there. But that's the consequence of the standard being so much higher on how many extra systems, you know, voice acting, all these other things that have to be
right.
in the game.
Well, and I'm not disagreeing with that. My problem is saying that without the gambling, you wouldn't be able to afford these how nice the game is, and I don't necessarily believe that follows. And I disagree that that it's a standard across the industry, and that was really my point, is that you have you can pick any studio and see where they've spent way too much on a game, or they've just, there's been some bloat somewhere. I'm not familiar with Baldur's Gate. I'm sorry, I just don't follow gaming that closely, but I mean, I've heard of the game.
We're one game of the year.
Yeah.
Right, one game.
Yeah, I'm not
like, I would say it's objectively a good game, even if it's not your style.
Yeah,
I agree with you. Baldur's Gate, for example, doesn't have DLCs, doesn't have loot crates, doesn't have cosmetics. It sells once for $60. What I'm saying is that as an industry, right, there are things like Unreal Engine, for example. How does Unreal Engine exist? Well, Unreal Engine exists because game developers purchase Unreal Engine. Okay, so these markets are all connected. And so even though Baldur's Gate 3, you know, sells for $60 and doesn't have this, it's because of Chinese companies like Tencent or others that monetize these systems, that there's so much money in the system and competition in the system that allows for that.
Totally understand that. But Scott, what I'm pointing out is that the gambling doesn't exist without the game. The game could function just as well without the gambling. The esport, but they're saying right now that esports wouldn't exist as it is today without the gambling, and that because of the gambling, the money that gambling is put into esports, you have to take the money, even if you object to it, even if you know that it's bad, even if you know that what's happening,
no,
even if you object.
But that's
to
unequivocally true, though. Like if you look
that's
at,
not true.
It is true, though. If you look at like pro sports, it's the same way.
Funded by gambling.
Well, no, I'm not talking about originally. Hold on. I'm saying if you want to go for the long term, you need the gambling, right? If you look at even pro sports are funded in part by the secondary economy of gambling. Look at Vegas, look at Best Fight Odds, look at like any of these websites, DraftKings, like Duel Links. There's all these ton of other ones, right? And like they all
tons of money.
A lot of it. Now, I'm not saying they solely fund it, but without that, a lot of these.
But you know the difference in those sites, Gibbs, is they're regulated.
So what? That's not necessarily a good thing, though.
It is.
Oh, I don't like regulation.
I think the stealing is a big problem, but I think the age verification is a good thing. I know now we're talking about if casinos make money for people that they can spend on shit like games. Yeah, probably. I'm assuming you could make a lot of money off that you could then make very nice, fancy things. I mean, there's a reason why Kick looks the way it does. There's a reason why it was able to get the money. I mean, let's be real.
Because it uses AWS. That's why.
It also gets a lot of money from gambling.
No, I said in my opening. I was just joking.
Okay. Scott, going way back, I got a question for you. Between the idea of intentionally selling to a child and negligently selling to a child. Mm-hmm. And I agree that where, negligence is obviously the violation of some duty, and what is the duty, what kind of standard of care do you owe people, is sort of a,
societally constructed metric, right? Where is that? You know, we've sort of said, look, if you have an ID, you present an ID, you can buy cigarettes, right? I think that's probably pretty fair. Just rolling with that for here a second, you know, some kind of ID that you can verify, driver's license number, etc. Because just out of curiosity, I want to know your thoughts on this. If I wanted to order cigarettes or drugs from an online website, would it be a violation of privacy to check the ID of the person ordering that? Let's assume it's all legal, whatever they're ordering. Or should we say, look, we don't want 8-year-olds ordering cigarettes, so we're going to put you got to enter in your ID.
Yes, absolutely. It would be a violation of rights.
Well, hold on. But my follow-up question was, would you require online tobacco websites to age verify before they sold cigarettes?
No, it's not their responsibility. It's
what about Black heroin?
That is a guardian of a child.
Well, I'm going to keep going down because you and I both agree that drugs should be legalized. Let's say it was black tar heroin.
I think if a child gets a Monero account right now and gets Purple browser so that they can very quickly and easily access.
Are you outlining the steps to?
Right?
Yeah, let's not.
Right. I mean, I'm meaning a little bit, but yeah. If we get a we get purple.tor, right? And we make it very easy so that you can't be tracked.
Step one,
fill your crypto wallow up with things like Monero, right? That are not traceable in that way. And you buy black tar heroin,
CSGO skins.
right? That's a parental issue. That is not an issue of the buyer of the seller of the drugs. It's not their responsibility to age verify products to make sure that their products aren't going to an unintended
what about in person?
The product.
Wait, what about in person?
Amen.
That was Ali. I'm on the same wavelength. Do you if you're a drugstore, like let's say I own a gas station?
No,
should I have to ID or a bar? Should I have to ID people coming in, or if I
check this out, Lactoid? Have you ever heard of the concept of it's none of my business? Yeah, he can answer. I just want to ask Lactoid. Have you ever heard of the concept of it's none of my business? What they do with it after that? It's none of my business.
I don't think I've ever been part of
it. Okay, now for someone who's less psychotic, Scott, please.
I think it's simple. It's just basics.
Marginally. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah. No, I would say that again, I will stand by this principle, right? That there is a difference between if you can prove that someone knowingly sold a product, it is different than requiring some level of like age verification or something, right? Or if you can prove that they acted in a way to intentionally stop themselves from knowing, right? So like if someone sells drugs at a counter store,
college bars,
and
underage drinkers,
that's not the same thing, right? Like that's not.
Why? College bars is probably 18 or 19-year-olds that get in or sneak in, and it's due to the negligence of the bar owner. And you're saying it's not up to the responsibility of the bar owner to ID these people. Right?
First of all, those aren't fucking children as far as we're concerned. We just magically said in order to drink, they need to be 21. But I know friends that died from suicide, from going to war that were fucking 18.
We don't disagree here. We don't disagree here.
16-year-olds
go to 16-year-olds go to college parties all the time. It's not the craziest thing.
I do not listen. Again, that is a parental issue. I am going to be consistent on this. Now, if I'm at a drugstore and I sell alcohol, right? And let's say there's no ID laws that exist anymore, right? But then I intentionally have my employees blindfold themselves and use hearing things that voice modulate and change the voice so that way a 9-year-old or a 6-year-old can come in and buy alcohol and they have zero clue whether or not they're 6 or they're 18, right? That is taking intentional acts to market and sale towards children.
That's just following out of the law.
No. I got a better example. Let's say that you're not blindfolding your clerks or whatever because you don't care, whatever. But instead, you found a new idea to save on labor costs, right? A cost-saving motivation. You put vending machines outside your store that have, a line of cigarettes, a line of black tar heroin, and a line of whiskey.
Bring back cigarette
and anybody can walk up, put $20 in, and then the bottle of whiskey falls out. You got no problem with this.
I mean, morally speaking, I have an issue.
Would you legally stop it?
No.
I love this idea personally.
Like how long is it going to take people on this panel to figure out that I'm a fucking anarchist, right? That I don't want the government involved in regulating
It just entertains
the market
me sometimes.
because
Doesn't that condone all the things you're morally
work.
against? Wait, doesn't that just condone all the things you're morally against?
Absolutely not.
Why? If you're okay with people doing it,
because there is a descriptive. This is an is-ought problem, right? Most people, when they say something is morally wrong, there's an assumption that the government should stop it, right? I do not prescribe to that because these are two different things. I can absolutely say that the government shouldn't be involved in stopping a thing, but that doesn't mean that people shouldn't fucking stop the thing with their own private property. That doesn't mean if I go to a grocery store and they have a fucking liquor store vending machine outside, that I'm going to be like, dude, fuck this company. I don't like that because I don't like the homeless drunk people that hang out by the store because there's a fucking alcohol vending machine right there. I'm going to a different place. Right?
You put it by the homeless shelter.
What if he opens it up?
It's actually brilliant.
Wait.
Strategic location.
But if they open it up down the corner store,
if
they open up on the corner down the street from you, and now all the drunk people are congregating around the street from you, you take umbrage with that, right? So less you move. Yeah. So you just have to move. So you're okay with giving up your private
buy the property next to Scott. Wait. You're okay with your private
vending machines full of drugs. There are a lot of issues, but what you're saying, see, like when you put it that way, it sounds ridiculous. But what's baked into your hold on, listen.
Well, I'm gonna go buy the spot away from the homeless shelter and put the liquor machine. That's the better plan.
What's baked into your alternative is that the government should use guns and violence to steal money out of my children's mouth and out of my paycheck so that they can then pay cops that have terrible fucking track records, don't have a duty to protect me, to enforce said laws and potentially use violence to stop other people from what they want to do. And I'm saying, fuck
when you word it
that.
like that, I'm
saying,
we collectively pay people salaries to act as bodyguards.
They can make money off the fines that we levy against business owners that put fucking black tar heroin vending machines next to the daycare. Okay, we fine them a bunch of money and then we pay the cops. That's what we do. That's my idea. I'm pretty good.
I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but again, like those people have a right to go do that. But that doesn't mean I fucking want them around.
But just like I just want it to be like like what I'm saying is like in your world, right? With your worldview, right? You're going to have a bunch of businesses just kind of selling whatever to whoever. It's going to be a bunch of underage people that are just kind of walking in or getting.
I remember, guys,
and you want and for you, there's no regulation except for the fact that like you think people will band together collectively and just become the police and become
false. Like that business, that corner store, that whatever, that association is gonna face two things. So that they can have vending machines with black tar heroin in them, right? Their insurance costs to insure their property is going to skyrocket, and whomever is paying for the police,
rich yourself.
Who's enforcing that they have insurance?
Hold on.
Who's enforcing that they have insurance?
Hold on. Well, if you're a business owner and you're fucking putting black tar heroin vending machines outside your business and you have no insurance.
They're going to rob the vending machine.
That's way cheaper now.
There's absolutely market mechanisms here where insurance costs are going to go up and where the costs of policing are going to go up. It would be financially stupid for someone to do such. They're not going to make money because that is coming with so much risk to their business and their community.
Heroin dealers make a lot of money.
I promise you they're going to make money.
Heroin dealers make a lot of money.
They make a lot of money because there's a black market.
All right, okay. You got to build them Tonka tough, right? The way they build ATM machines.
I'm saying.
That's where you.
That would reduce insurance costs to a certain degree. Yes.
I still think by the daycare, setting up like strategic vending machines by daycare is brilliant.
Just build out a concrete rebar.
Customer base. Let's go to our
near high school.
Then get your kids out of that daycare.
Just in high school.
Wait. Just to be clear, like
in high
this actually this did happen where cigarette companies would like go to playgrounds and like give kids free cigarettes to get them hooked. Like we know, like we can make money.
Right. I actually grew up in that time when I remember cigarette machines.
That was
I remember cigarette machines. I remember the cigarette machines.
Yeah.
I remember
fraud.
I remember that there was a couple of were they service stations? I forget what they were, but what we would now probably consider a convenience store that had beer vending machines.
It's a service station.
Wow. Yeah. Look, like during my grandfather's time, like he started smoking at 13 and he had no problem getting a hold of
I used
cigarettes.
to pick up cigarettes for my parents and I was like 8.
Yeah. I did that too.
We knew the gas station owners. They knew where it was going.
Corey.
Thank you. Well, one, I would say don't follow Scott's instructions to buy drugs online, and also two, probably maybe also don't follow Scott's
Unless
business.
you're 18.
Yeah, or also don't follow Scott's business plan of like having your employees blindfolded and deafened. You might have some theft issues.
Use vending machines instead.
But
I said that was wrong, so obviously don't follow it.
I do find the hypothetical pretty funny though. But I just want to quickly, hopefully, address the point of like games. So I understand probably they're making money from from whatever gambling and all that stuff. They can reinvest into the games. I just want to point out it's a little bit strange to let's say use that example in this context of Counter-Strike, which was originally developed like for free, where the original I played the actual original beta, and in my opinion, and I'm just too old, but I think most games are like. Let's say
B44, baby, B44.
Exactly, the automatic shotgun, all that stuff. Where, in my opinion, I might be too old, but I think good games are developed on lower budgets, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. And like, I don't think it requires massive budgets to create good games. Just like I don't think it requires massive budgets to create good movies either.
Games don't exist. Games don't exist in an isolated market, right? Like when a good game. When a bad AAA game comes out, right, that's slop, but has really good graphic fidelity, there are people that work on those games, and they make, they learn how to develop those things, and then there are other companies that make software solutions for gamers, for game developing companies, right? And because those games are profitable, that is the reason why software companies that make things like Frostwire or Unreal Tournament or all of these other systems that are used to make those games. And then there are I absolutely agree with you that small studios then, pay $5,000 for a product license, right? So that they can then make with a smaller team great games. But again, they don't live in isolation. Nobody that's making your favorite indie game is doing so from the code up, with the exception of maybe Roller Coaster Tycoon, which was like built in I think it was all built in Java. But I mean they're for the most part, your good games are made with software solutions that are pushed forward by the gaming industry.
I agree, but but I think Counter-Strike is a great example of it originally started as a passion project that grew to this massive success now. Another example is and all these games were developed before gambling, Dota 2. Those were all pre-gambling, and they grew. I agree that the gaming industry.
How was Dota made? How was Dota made?
That was also from what I understand, I'm not an expert, but that was also a passion project of as a mod for Warcraft 3. And I agree
it was made possible by Warcraft 3.
I agree, just like Counter-Strike was made possible by Half-Life. But I think you would agree that the reality is those games were developed in the vacuum outside of gambling, because that wasn't a thing at the time.
Well, I mean, it was absolutely, because Blizzard.
Warcraft 3 and Half-Life. I would need an example.
No. So I want to say when was Dota made? Dota would have been made.
It would have been 2001, 2002.
Regardless of that, guys. I mean, the harm that it's actually doing.
2013.
Is it worth the benefit? The claimed benefit.
No, 2002. Dota 2 is 2013, 2012. Dota 1 originally.
Yeah. Okay. And then when was WoW released? 2004. Okay. Yeah. No. I mean, in that instance, there wouldn't have been World of Warcraft, right? So that would have been a year before World of Warcraft and selling gold. But again,
the history lesson's great, but at the end of the day, the reality is that is the claim then that the good outweighs the bad.
What's the bad here? Like some people get addicted and children use their parents' credit card when they shouldn't. Like what's the bad you're pointing to?
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
Well, everyone going broke eventually is a good bad. Like people not having money anymore is probably a good bad.
The only people that are
tough test and the choice.
These are people who are irresponsible. Either adults who are irresponsible with their money, or children who got a hold of their parents' money without permission.
if you're going specific to like CS:GO, but I'm like, to me, I see a large gambling problem with like online gambling as a whole, right? And this is just like one faction of it, right? So to me, it's just like the online gambling thing is getting a bit out of hand. And I remember back in the day, like when I was a kid, there used to be like a commercial where there was a girl and she was in front of a dumpster fire, and she's like, "We used to have a home until my daddy started online gambling, right? And we used to push like heavily against it." Yeah, skill issue. I get it. Whatever. Like I care.
Get better at gambling. Like,
I have empathy for some people, even though they're stupid. You know, it bothers me. So like the whole online gambling, the whole like online gambling being like so hyper normalized to where it's like now it's in like video games where like, yes, it is like a majority of like teenagers that have like that shouldn't have access to the gambling, but that do now, right? And then they're getting hooked at a young age. I'm not pro gambling companies becoming like billionaires off of like people losing their money, because it's like you're kind of guaranteed to lose.
I actually don't have a problem with the gambling.
I feel like this kind of energy should be directed at like OnlyFans and shit like that.
I mean, like I have a problem with that too.
OnlyFans should age verify.
I have a problem with that too.
OnlyFans should be illegal, actually.
Yeah.
But
hold on. Even if you want to criminalize it, at the very least, should age verify, right?
Yeah, that could be a good step, but I think it should be.
I don't necessarily disagree with you.
What I'm talking about is like
I missed that.
What
should be illegal?
Fall in love with these prostitutes on the internet and give them all their fucking life savings and shit. Like there was that girl that mid bitch Sophie something.
Whatever.
Sophie Rain.
So let's not advertise her name more.
Well, just gave her like $500.
She made like $50-something million a month.
We're advertising her as a whore. That's a problem with society.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
$50-something million in a month, right?
Hold on. She's a hero of capitalism. Let's click that.
I want to let DB.
Yeah, congrats. I applaud her. Okay, like good job.
I am applauding.
Then she can retire, and she's probably not. She's probably going to sell her body some more and get more money, and then eventually she'll get too old and they'll forget about her. But good job. Right, good job. So, but this lady made $50-something million in a month, right? So the kind of guys that would give this person money, when I haven't tried this, but I'm sure, right? Because this is a case with almost any of these prostitutes. You can just type in this person's name, nude, and their boobs will come up on the internet somewhere for free. Why the fuck are you giving this person money? Why are you giving any of these people money? Like it makes no sense to me. That is a legitimate mental illness to me. But
they're paying for the GFE and they're paying for the
yeah, that's crazy. It's great. That's like legitimate like mental illness shit. So I feel like this kind of like hubbub makes a lot more sense directed at that than something like fucking people spending their money on CSGO skins.
No. It's the gambling aspect. It's not them selling.
I don't care about the skins. I mean,
it's not. Yeah, it's not the skins. It's the gambling aspect that people are kind of annoyed at, and the fact that like you do have a bunch of teenagers
gambling.
Gambling's
fine. I don't know the issue.
Oh, gambling has the same issue.
Wait, gambling is fine. Gambling is fine as like a limited institution, but it shouldn't be like instilled in literally every fucking faction of our lives. You shouldn't have an app on your phone where you're.
Life is a gamble, bro.
Don't have that. Just don't play those games. Hold on. I get the thrill. I get the addiction. I went to Vegas as part of my vacation. Right, I went there for like a week with my wife. And that was like the second leg of my vacation. First leg was the Dragon Seal convention, of course. And when I was there, right? So my wife likes to play blackjack. I fucking hate blackjack, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know how to play any card games at all. And I refuse to learn, right? So she wanted to play blackjack. I sat at a virtual craps table, right? Which is just like a machine that like bounces the dice around in front of you.
Yeah.
And I put like $200 in there. And I don't know how to play craps at all. I just pressed shit, and then it was winning, so I just kept going. I got up to like $800, right? And I felt it, right? $800 to me is like not a whole lot of money, realistically.
But to win it,
but I was up, right? So I was like, oh shit, maybe I should stop, right? And I took the voucher thing out. I walked around the casino a bit. I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go put it all in one roll. Fuck it. Like I get it, right? And I did, and I lost it all. I was like, oh fuck, I should have just taken it, right? But it's part of the game, right? You win some, you lose some. You know the risk going into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fuck it. So
but 800
that's kind of how I see
like
this. These people know getting into this that hey, there's a massive risk. You're going to lose.
I mean, so wait, drug addicts. Wait. Drug addicts know before you start doing heroin that there's
that's different.
This is all personal.
It's literally not different.
Yeah, these are all the same. You're right. They are all the same. It's just you don't care about having these people take personal accountability.
Children
and want daddy government.
No. Listen. I agree. You're right. I do have a problem with like leaving everything up to personal accountability because to me, what ends up happening is you have a bunch of scragglers. You have a bunch of people who are left homeless or in the street, right? Which we can, fuck them. Wait, Gibbs. You can say fuck them all you want until they're fucking with your community, right? Like I can say, I don't care that there's illegal immigrants coming into America, but because it's not affecting me personally, it's affecting you a lot, though, right?
Sure.
So like the same thing can be flipped over. So like my issue is I'm not pro just companies becoming billionaires, like while you have a vast majority of the people losing, and then potentially, like once again, I've asked the question as it was kind of a serious question. If all these people lose their money, right? Like what do these companies do? Because like we can be smart enough to know, like I'm not going to lose all my money gambling, but like there's gonna be a lot of people that do.
The actual statistic on that sociologic, just the actual statistic is 1% pays for 80% of the profits. So it's 1% of the people are losing 80% of the
all right.
money.
But it's also 1% has the money to make 80% of that, like for them. So clearly these aren't like just like
combination.
It's like it's not just like these broke people
or just rich people.
Yeah,
I don't know the stats. I'm willing to admit that.
So what you're arguing about is a very small percentage, and it's like why can't people make a choice anymore? Like why is
look? I don't have any problem with the choice. You guys keep.
I do want to ask because he hasn't spoken much. Doobie, right? Like it seems weird that you're defending this. Like you understand, like unless you're saying that it's okay to expose children to any particular vice or problematic aspect of society. Because like whatever, right? Like if they go into it with open minds, right, and they choose to step in through this portal, that it's fine. Is that what you're saying? That like they choose to engage?
No. So I think this is a parent issue, right? So like I don't think children should be gambling, but if they do, they probably don't have the money to gamble. So where the fuck are they getting the money from? They're probably using some of their parents' money, or they're doing like little side jobs on the side or whatever the fuck. So I don't think that the harm there is as intense as it would be with an adult. Even if there was like some possibility that they could get involved somehow, right? Like when they shouldn't be. And I really think that's like a parenting issue. If your child's like addicted to fucking gambling, you need to be a better parent. Like I don't know, like you need to step in and take your kid away.
Come on, but no, DB. Hopefully you'll be having a bundle of joy soon, right? You even with the resources you have, right? You have more resources than anyone else here, right? That doesn't mean that you can keep track of your kid 24/7. And that
we're gonna find out, Prime. I'm gonna try really hard. I'm being real with you. Like I know what I was like when I was a kid, right? And yeah, kids are sneaky as fuck, right? I get it. But there are tools that my parents absolutely did not use to keep track of that shit. And I plan to use those tools. So I don't know, like maybe
the cage.
The cage, right? Yeah. No, I mean just like teaching them right from wrong, but also employing like parental shit that you can have on the computers. If they have a computer, I'm probably not gonna let my kid have access to like a cell phone for a long time.
It's a good plan.
Yeah, but like there's a ton of shit you can do, right? So but again, I haven't had that experience, so maybe I'm totally wrong.
I do.
I'm totally
wrong. You can say all that until you have a kid.
Yeah, I have a 14-year-old. I'll help you out. I have total control of his internet life. Like literally.
But even then, that's not hold on, guys. Even then, that's not enough. We understand this, right?
There's still their personal life.
You haven't used the parental tool of the cage, right? That means they're going to go outside. That means they're going to have private time with their friends at some point, hopefully. That means that they're going to be in social situations that you don't have direct control of. Are
Sure.
we saying here in that situation? Well, then you must be responsible.
Well, wait.
If
Because, but like
Hold on, hold on.
wait,
Let me
because
let me
wait. Just real quick, no, before you do, because if you do have that kind of total control over your kid, right? And then they do turn 18, 19, whatever age that you deem is like they're adults now, or they go off to college, whatever it seems maybe, they're now not like they're going to be kind of coddled to the world too, right?
No.
There's a
That's not what I mean. You inferred something that I didn't say. You inferred something I
I'm
didn't
just
say. I have
adding.
total
I'm just adding to like. I'm more
on
to
that-
Doobie and you, really.
Okay,
as much
gotcha.
control as possible, so on and so forth.
On that note, Prime,
No.
I got a pregnant wife that needs me for a bit, so I gotta go, Mister. I'm sorry.
Oh my god. Can we talk, DB?
Yes, I'll be around tomorrow for sure.
Right.
That was a humble brag, by the way, just there. Did you guys
Yeah,
catch
no,
that? It
No,
was
I'm just
subtle.
saying
It
I
was
gotta
subtle.
go. I want to stick around, but I have to go.
Congratulations,
Have a good one,
Doobs, and
Doobie.
hope
Take care,
everything's
Doobie.
going well
Christmas.
for her.
Be well.
Merry
Thanks,
Christmas,
I'll talk
brother.
to you soon.
Yeah, so I have both a 4-year-old and a 14-year-old. And my 14-year-old,
Range.
Range, yeah, that's right. Yeah, 10 years, man. It's a good spread. But so at the end of the day, my kids are my responsibility, and I do pay attention to everything they do. I don't know every website that my kid goes to, but if I wanted to, I could, right? I've given him some free range because he's earned it. Because in the beginning, I would literally just turn his internet off if he was misbehaving, and so I reinforce this idea that if that it's a privilege and to some degree, it's not a right, and it's not to be taken lightly. We've had a lot of talks about what he can and cannot do on the internet and that sort of thing, and obviously, I mean, he's a good kid. He's a Boy Scout. He goes to private school, does all the cool stuff. But you never know. Kids turn out the way they turn out. You do the best you can.
Exactly. But hold on. But
yeah,
that's the issue, friend.
That's really literally it. Yeah.
But yeah, like we can keep saying, and look,
but my kid doesn't play video games
because oftentimes I will say to parents like, yeah, I shouldn't be responsible for your kid. Like adults should be able to have adult fun, right? Not necessarily hobbled or by the fact that kids exist, right? Like, well,
Then some dumbass brings their kid to Miami.
Yeah, it's like right. You at some point need to be.
Well, I act like an adult
not
parent.
Using that excuse to limit like the things that adults can get up to. So I hear that, but and I haven't got much, Scott. I promise. But like you literally can't keep track of that. Your kids, I'm assuming, go outside, right?
Sure,
but with the bar cap. Just saying.
Yeah, we can't be sure. That's what I'm saying. Hopefully, you won't be in the news one day.
So here's the thing, Prime. Man, I this is hard to explain to someone a lot of times because they have people have preconceptions. You can't do anything about that. So first of all, I raised my son to be a good human being. And I've treated him like he was a young man starting at a young age. I've never infantilized my son. I literally, last year, when he got to be almost 6 foot and weighed 180 pounds at 13, I told him it's not fair, but the cards life has handled you is that people see you as a man and you must act like a man. You can't act like a kid. If you swing and hit somebody, you can hurt them. And they're going to assume you can hurt them and they'll hit you. You can't act like a kid. It's not fair. Other kids get to act like kids because they're small and they look like kids. You look like a grown-ass man. And we've had that conversation. If you can't have conversations with your children, then you have actually failed as a parent. If you are scared to have tough conversations, son, why are you masturbating 3 times a day? If you can't have that conversation, stop being a parent.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
That but that's a
so he has a monitor on that too.
No, I don't, but I can guess.
Maybe Scott can interact with this.
Heart rate is a certain amount.
It just seems that like Scott, and you're a parent, right, Scott? But your kids are much smaller. But
yeah, I have 2 toddlers, 5 and 4.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so, but at some point they go on to, they have interactions that you don't entirely control, right? They'll have pressures, they'll have friends, they'll have social
Life.
situations where they'll feel like, oh, I got to do this to be cool or whatever the fuck, right? And you know, like that may involve doing something really bad. Hopefully not that doesn't hurt someone, but like that might be illegal or whatever, right? You don't have complete control of your child, and we can understand that. Maybe as a society, understand that we need to protect children. That children find their ways in because they have a lot of time in their hands, find their ways into some awful situations, and that we should have some sort of collective responsibility for that. You know, you would say that, and I'll ask you, Scott, would you say that we have no collective responsibility as a society? You know, whether it be on the federal level or maybe to you more on the local level, to care for the children around us. It should be all like, hey, kind of Mad Max, like outside of your family unit, no one should give a fuck about like what happens to this child. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, again, it keeps coming to this kind of is-ought problem. I won't explain it, obviously, right? Like, yeah, I think you have a moral responsibility as a member of your community, to help people, to be a good person, to to act in your own rational self-interest, I would say. And your own rational self-interest is not to live in a society of degenerates and criminals and all of the terrible things that come from a society that is neglectful and mean or abusive to children, or permissive of children. Now, there's been a lot of research on parenting styles, right? And most of the research would say that there are basically 4 types of parenting styles. So there's authoritarian, authoritative, negligent, and permissive, right? Now, obviously, negligent is bad, right? It almost always leads to bad outcomes, right? And then there's a lot of debate about the 3 different parenting styles because none of them are particularly wrong, right? Permissive children, permissive parenting style where you kind of let your kids go, free range, you don't have a lot of control in their life. Those children tend to be mentally healthier and have less mental health problems, but they also tend to be very much less successful, financially struggle, and have difficult times being able to like manifest in reality their goals and their wishes. They tend to be poor. They tend to not be able to succeed in life. Authoritative. Free range is permissive. Free range would be an aspect of it, right? But this would also be like never checking in on your kids' internet usage or things like that, right? Now, on the other end of the spectrum, you have authoritarian, right? This is, the classic examples like speak when spoken to, right? Like you don't speak, very, very, very strict. And they're the opposite, right? They tend to be very financially successful. They tend to go to college and get straight A's. They tend to like do very well, but they also tend to have a lot of mental health issues, a lot of depression, lots of much higher suicidality, et cetera. And then there's the middle ground, authoritative, right? Where, you do keep check of your kids. You do have rules. You do have structure. And yet at the same time, you help develop the child. When you feel that they're ready for responsibility, you give them that freedom and that responsibility so that they can fail themselves and kind of discover those pitfalls. You can't protect your child from the outside world. It's not possible. The outside world exists and you have to engage with the outside world. But if you're a good parent, you prepare them for that. And my biggest issue with this concept of like state regulation in the name of the children is it comes down to these points that I wrote down. So number one, regulation kind of gives the parent the excuse to not parent, right? When the government takes over responsibility of the parent, the parent's ability to control and engage with their children is now limited because the government is presumed to be taking care of these issues. Number two, there's an assumption that the effects of regulation actually work. And they don't always work, right? I mean, let's say we get a law that says there's going to be age verification, right? How long before Discord servers start popping up that kids go into so that, so they can get away from these very regulations? And the third thing here is regulation always comes with a cost. I already explained the market cost, but let's say you don't buy the market cost. You don't buy the concept that like every tax dollar taken out of the market means less jobs, less opportunity. I mean, every dollar that is given to enforce regulation is a dollar that could be spent on mental health care, a dollar that could be spent on helping people with gambling addiction, a dollar that could be spent on the homelessness issue, right? Every single one of those dollars that I just described are dollars that, even though I wouldn't agree with it, would actually be addressing the cause as opposed to the symptom. Right? The cause is lack of economic opportunity. The cause is, people that feel that they, that they need to get rich quick because they feel like they have no upward mobility. There are other causes, obviously gambling addiction. But the last one is that there's a bit of a contradiction here that I feel like you're making, which is there's an assumption kind of baked in. Yeah, there's an assumption kind of baked in that like the regulation will do good. But at the same time, you recognize that a parent who's the most involved with their children, who lives with their child every single day, right? Who has direct access to their children, and by the way, who is incentivized more than anybody else in the planet to care for their children, right? You recognize that you can't have total control of them, and that there's nothing you can do, and that they're going to go out there and they're going to see shit and they're going to engage in bad shit. But the idea that the government is going to somehow solve this when they have less access, they aren't incentivized to care, right? Like it seems a little bit contradictory because the incentives are so much stronger for the parent to take care of their children, not for the government to fix this issue.
So I have issues with that, but I'm not going to quote everyone here. I'll stick around and maybe we can have more of a conversation if you like, Scott. But
yeah, but the first part is my answer to that question. The 4 parenting styles there.
Thank you so much. So I will end it here. Thank you all for coming through. This is a lot of fun. Man, these 3 topics, we really got. I wasn't planning on going where we went to. I actually there was something else I was going to bring up, entirely different. But 3 topics, you never know where we end up. But it was a lot of fun. So thanks all for being here. If you've been appreciating this content, please consider supporting the content. We do need your help. Subs to channel if it's or give subs. That's how I do this. I do need your help. So we want to keep this channel going for another year, right into the next year. Consider helping out the channel or super chats. All right, let's go to our friend Lactoid. Thank you, Lactoid, for being here. This was a ton of fun, friend.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. If you guys like what I had to say, you can find me at Lactoid TV on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube.
So much. Next, Scott. This is great. I think overall, this is a pretty a balanced panel.
Yeah, I am Scott or Fabian Liberty on YouTube. I'm currently dealing with a 7-day ban on Twitter. Apparently, on X, you can't tell people if they ever utter the phrase "this discourse shouldn't be based on philosophy," that they should sterilize themselves and save the human gene pool. Apparently, that's not good to say. I think it is good to say, and I stand by that statement, especially when there's so many goddamn JQ spurgs and Nazis on the website. I can't tell people not to have fucking kids. Fuck you, Elon Musk. And fuck all the Elon Musk dick riders is still fucking a lot of goddamn censorship on X. Nevertheless, it is a little bit better. But yeah, you can find me on X maybe in a few days, primarily on YouTube right now. I am a libertarian. I discuss philosophy, social issues, and things like that, and econ, all the stuff from a libertarian objectivist framework.
Great. Thank you so much, friend. And yes, also, fuck Elon Musk, quote unquote, free speech warrior. Feelings again. But Corey, thank you. This is a lot of fun. I liked your contributions today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Every once in a while, I do some good on a panel. Yeah, it's wild to me. I thought free speech was back on X. I thought Elon was like the biggest free speech champion. He's going to bring it back to America. Who knew it would turn out like the way it did? But yeah, as always, this is great. Super appreciated to be here and always entertaining. Even with the little contribution that I made, I mostly just sat back and watched the bloodbath unfold. It's entertaining to me. But yeah, you can find me on Twitch, Corey Campbell 84, Twitter, X, YouTube, Instagram. It's Corey Campbell. And I also want to say, I don't know if anybody else caught it, but I really appreciate that Grid One announces when he's taking a short break, and he has the graphics for that to announce it to the panel, taking a short break. I thought that was super hilarious, but maybe that's just me. But yeah, Ollie, Gibbs, Grid One, Scott, Lactoid, always a pleasure. Love you, Brian.
Thanks so much, friend. Grid also, yeah, thank you. This is good. I really like what you had to say. And offering your perspectives here. It's always very valuable. Thanks so much.
I appreciate it. Oh, I'm sorry. You were talking to him. I had you turned down. Sorry.
No, I was talking to you, Grid. I was saying you're great.
He'll be right back.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, sorry. Sorry. Your mic is so low that I have to turn you way up.
Really?
Yeah.
Am I low to the rest of you guys?
And then I have to turn everybody else down when they're talking. So
I'm low to Lactoid. Am I low to you?
You're actually okay for me.
Yeah.
I have you maxed on Discord, but I hear you.
I turned you up, but you were a little bit low. Yeah.
Yeah, I have you at 145.
I got you at 130.
Okay. All right.
I'm just spinning the knob.
Yeah. Maybe it's my gain or maybe my Discord. Maybe my Discord.
I have you at 100. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird.
Yeah, I got you at the normal. You sound fine to me.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sorry.
I mean, you don't sound bad. It's just a little low.
Yeah, it's just low.
Yeah. All right. Well, go ahead, Grid.
Yeah. Hey, I really appreciate you having me again. I'm always happy to be a part of these panels. I really appreciate Prime you giving us a place to just hash things out and jabber and whatever else that we do. Jabbering obviously was meant for Mr. Gibbs over there. It was great tonight. You know, I actually took a position that I didn't when I first heard the issue. I had a preconceived notion of the position that I would take. I kind of educated myself a little bit and actually changed my position to the one of I do believe that the regulation needs to be in place, but because of the cheating and the fraud involved, and not the gambling itself. And I stand by that. I think throughout history, men have taught their sons how to gamble as part of the risk reward education that all men need. I can't speak for women. I'm not one. So, and I really appreciate it. Everyone was great.
One trip to Target, my friend, and you can be.
What's that? Go to Target.
One trip to Target, and you can be.
I don't shop at Target, man. I'm sorry. But at any rate, you guys have a great, it was great to be here, man. And Scott, good to kind of, push back against you every once in a while. I don't always agree. What's interesting is like, I used to find myself mostly agreeing with Scott, and now I agree with him like half the show, and then half the show I'm like, Scott, what are you saying? And it's really cool. It's really good.
It's the last half that's the hardest in proselytization.
Is that what it is? All right. Again, really appreciate it, you guys. Thanks again, Prime.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks so much. At some point my settings got reset, and I'm trying to find the proper balance. So I was down at 69% for input volume. Now it's at 75%.
Nice.
Before you guys were saying that was too loud. So I don't know. So I'm trying to figure out a balance. I'm not sure if I can, because you guys all have different equipment, where I can find a good balance for all of you. But you'll have to let me know. 75% now, if that's good. But let's go to our friend Admiral Gibbs. Gibbs, you're always you. You're always you, and you never change. And so I'm always happy. I like you, so I'm always happy with what I get.
Oh, I appreciate that. I always love being here. I just want to say this is another week of me being the most consistent and honest. And maybe this time I didn't have to be the most fact-checked person on any of these panels. I don't have to do any mental backflips to come to my conclusions. I just tell you straight up. Other than that, CoffeeZilla sucks. He's clout chaser. Fuck that guy. Don't watch CoffeeZilla. He's just as bad as the rest of them. He's just bamboozled y'all. Let me tell you, I'm a snake oil salesman, and I know a snake oil salesman, and that man is a snake oil salesman if I've ever seen one. I'm just saying, trust us when we know a con artist, and that guy's a con artist. Lastly, one last thing. We're having a debate championship series. We're putting this together. It's coming together. It's exciting. If you like debate, there's going to be some ass whippings handed out. And we're going to have definitive records now people can point to and say, I beat so-and-so. And we got that coming because I know that everybody always wants the most important thing in debate, bragging rights. And that's what I'm going to give you, the people. And thank you for having me always, Brian.
Absolutely. And finally,
where's my DM?
Yeah, I'll got you.
My DM, brother?
I'll send you a run out.
Ali, thank you so much for coming through. You're fantastic.
Well, thanks for having me, man. It was great being here. But once again, just what happens when all the people grow broke because the corporations get rich? I'll never. No one ever has an answer. It's usually riots in the street, but what can you do? But for everything, you can find me at Sociologic 2 L's on everything: Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. And thanks for having me, Prime Gang. It was a pleasure arguing with you.
Thank you. All right, and you changed up your name like we were saying, 2 capital L's. Yeah, makes sense. All right, good work.
Not enough underscores though.
No underscores though. Thanks so much. I will raid out to, let's see, who we're gonna raid. What hotties? I never get this ready beforehand, but what hotties are available? Picking a hottie.
It's underscore Justini right there.
It's
Is it always got to be a hottie?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly.
Wow, because he respects his audience.
Yeah, exactly.
All you Raiders spam hottie in the chat.
Yeah, there you go.
It's
we have very different audiences.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, we have very very different audiences.
Gotta put the thirst, bro.
Mine would be just like shitting on me for being a simp if I did that.
Yeah. I'm a little concerned. I'm going to get.
Wait, who would they want Who would they want to be sent off to out of your guys's?
Someone interesting.
Yeah, she's pretty cute, actually. Is she one of your friends?
She is one of my friends. She's a homie.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll send them off to It's Justini.
Say Gibbs says hello.
All right, so Gibbs says hello.
Yeah, there you go.
Gibbs
That's what
says
she
his
does.
regards. All right.
Spam Black Tar Heroin in the chat. Black Tar Heroin.
Black Tar Heroin. Yes.
Gentlemen, it's been great. I'm gonna leave.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys.
Me too.
I'm gonna bounce.
Take care.
Good night and Merry Christmas to all.
Merry Christmas
to all.
Likewise, happy holidays.
Damn.
Peace out, guys.
I want to talk to you, Sociologic, about that claim though before you dip.
He already
before
left.
You dip, but before.
And I sent you the DM, Fabian.
We'll talk later, Scott. We'll see you, Matty.
All right, I'll be good.
All right. What?
It happens often. Yeah, I usually like to do a little post-chat discussion.
1 second, guys.
My problem is making you rely on parents. Is that parents themselves may not know all the dangers that right? We have constant
100%.
Yeah, like little news stories, right? Like public alerts about like this thing and that thing. That like now this is the new trend that dumbass kids are involved in. Like keep a lookout.
All right, guys. I have exited the group. Just us. It was a great show tonight, guys, and ladies and gentlemen. I don't know who's still here, who has been tough, who has been here the whole time, toughed it out with us. It was a good battle. The thing is that I just couldn't make a good beachhead based on the fraud issue. I just did not have enough proof. And and I really needed. I should have put a little bit more research into it because I couldn't back up my claim, other than the what was it? It was the hype drop. That's what it was. Other than hype drop, I couldn't really back up my claim that most of these sites are run fraudulently and really just serve to basically shear sheep of their the kids of their money. It was a great time tonight. To be honest with you, it wasn't as lively as I would have liked, but that's what you get into. And if you guys enjoy this, this happens pretty much every Monday night. I may take next Monday night off. Let me see who's live. I think Sarah's live. Give me 1 second, and we will we'll check that out. See if Sarah is live. I don't know. I haven't looked, to be honest. And let's see who is live. Well, Fabian's live. I should raid his ass. Let's see. Well, he's just talking to Prime. That's boring. Well, we'll just raid the tomato. Give me 1 second, and we'll get that set up, and then I will send you off into the night. Again, I really appreciate the support tonight, everyone. It really, I know, everybody says this, that they really appreciate it and all that nonsense. But I really do. I really, this is means a lot to me that you guys are here. It means a lot to me that that you guys have stayed here this whole time. I mean, it's been a long. This is a long show that he puts on, and the first portion of it was really, it wasn't boring, but it really didn't light the fires, as they say, and the one guy was I didn't like what that guy had to say, so which was fine, but there we go. Get that. They really just were not really having a. They weren't really having a good discussion about the way things happen in these issues or these situations. All right, guys. I'm going to cut it off. You get to listen to Andrew Wilson laugh his ass off as you get off my lawn. Be cool. Wear glasses if you need them. You have a good night.
Yeah, I just answered your question. Can you tell me what epistemology means?
Epistemology is the study of the epistles. I mean, you can. I told me that a husband and wife is supposed to be the representation of God and the church. He said he's a husband. I asked him if he sees himself as the embodiment of God, and he said no. That doesn't make any sense.
Wait, what is the epistles?
The epistles are the apostles. Are you talking about